and gentlemen, the show is about to start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I just realized I had my microphone muted. So let's try that again. Hello everyone and welcome again to AstroPrinter. My name is Liam. Just let me know if the audio and video is good. I actually had myself muted a moment ago, so I'm sorry about that. So just let me know if the audio is coming through nice and clear right now. There's a little bit of a delay between what I say and what you see, and what you hear, so let's try it again. Can you hear me? Now it's good. Okay, excellent. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody, wherever you are. As I said, my name is Liam, and this channel is called AstroPrinter, and if you haven't joined my streams before, I'm kind of easy-go-lucky type of stream, so I'm trying to make it nice and easy and relaxed. And everyone's giving me the thumbs up that the audio is good and the video is good and everyone's happy. So then I'm happy. So today we are going to do an unboxing of the EcubMaker 4-in Toy DIY version 2 4-in-1 3D printer. So 4-in-1. What is 4-in-1? So the 4-in-1 is it comes with different tool heads, interchangeable tool heads. One is a single extruder for single color filament. The second is a dual color extruder, or two extruders going into a Y connector into one nozzle, so it can do two different colors printing. It has a CNC function and a laser function, and it's all interchangeable tool heads, and it's easy to do. So I have to confess, I opened the box, and it wasn't the peek inside. I opened the box because there was a hole in top of the box when it arrived, and I want to make sure nothing was damaged. So you see here, there's a nice big gaping hole in the box, and I was worried about the damage to anything inside, so I opened it. Now, other than the puncture mark on top, which did not damage anything because everything's well padded inside, it came wrapped in cellophane plastic, so it was actually kept dry, and it came strapped with really heavy strapping. This is not the normal light strapping you get on most packages that are delivered to you. This is 3 or 4 times that thickness. It's really heavy duty. So it's for really heavy duty shipping containers. And it's why I reefed my finger on that strap, because it's but other than that, it was good. How's everyone doing out there, first of all? Everyone doing okay? Everyone having a good morning or a good afternoon or wherever you are? I hope so. I hope everyone's doing well. So, as always, I do not have the desk space for this. This is a big printer. This is huge. So, I would equate the size and weight of this equal to some of the larger IDEX printers that I've been doing in the last couple of live unboxings. So, Chris says all is good. Okay. So, let's see how this morning goes. So, I'm going to open it up initially here. We'll have a quick look at the instructions, wherever else is in there, and then we'll go from there. I'll move it off to the side and then bring the components up here to assemble. So, big box. Need to stand it here out of the way. First thing you'll come across on the inside is your, let me see, this is a packing list with all the components that you have inside the box. Pretty hefty user's quick start guide. And a full-size 4GB ScanDisk SD card. So I'll leave these aside because I'll need these in a moment. You also have another white box in here. So let me see. Let me move that out of the way first of all so you can see what's going on. Okay. This, it says, is my extruders, which we will need momentarily, I believe. We'll take off the heavy duty foam, and then we have the inside of the box, which we have our X and Z gantry, and beneath that is our base. So I'm going to move this off to the side. Now I will say on the side here, along the front, right here, I have my various tool heads. So this one is a single FDM tool head. But I have the various tool heads in here, so I will take those out in a moment and we'll have a look at those once I make space on my desk. So one moment. So everybody keeps telling me to get a better desk and a bigger desk, and someday I will. I haven't gotten there yet. So let's see what's happening. Let's have a look inside here first of all. So it comes with, built in, let me take this out. You come with, I think I can get you a close-up of that. Let me get you a close-up of, no, that's too close. That's the 2-in-1 close-up. So it comes with a list of all the components you're going to get with the printer. So you have the X gantry, the print bed, the various tool heads, Z-axis assembly, filament, which is for printing. We got FDM tool head, CNC surface, so you have to change the bed for CNC. Some CNC mill heads, USB cables, goggles for the laser, which you need, various toolkit, quick start guide, which we're looking at right now, laser material, CNC material, which is actually acrylic, I believe, 2 filament holders, and we have a filament purge tray. So instead of actually doing a prime tower, in this case, you would actually go over and purge off of the filament purge tray and then come back over and print. So you actually waste less material. The prime tower often wastes a lot of material. And let's have a look at the quick start guide. So the quick start guide is here. What's the build volume of the FDM part? That's a good question, Chris. So the build volume for this machine, it says on the box and in their documentation, is 350 by 300 by 350, which is pretty sizable. Now, there is limitations to it, and most people don't print beyond PLA, right? Let's be honest, most people do not go beyond PLA. Some might go into PETG, but most don't. So its maximum temperature is 220. So it's probably aimed for, it's mostly in a PLA. You can probably do some PETGs, maybe some PLA pluses. You will not go higher than that. It's not designed for that. It comes with a 1.5 watt or 1500 milliwatt laser. The CNC is 24 volt, 14,500 RPM. And you have to use, it comes with ABL, so it actually does a 3x3 on the bed for ABL. And you use their own software. They have their own software called EcubMaker, and the EcubMaker will actually do, hey Gary, how are you? The EcubMaker will actually do your CNC, your laser, your FDM, both single and dual color, all in one piece of software. And they also have, I believe they also have a separate software called a laser, or they have a separate laser or CNC software that you can download as well for independently just doing, they add additional features to those. So let's have a quick look at the manual. It's a hefty manual. That's a very thick manual for a 3D printer. I've never seen one of these before. So let's have a look on the inside. So we have, on the front we have our printer, we have our 4 tool heads. Let's go through this and have a look what's inside. So it's both in English and in Chinese. The instructions are pretty detailed, I would say. I'll check the verbiage on them later on, but it gives you a lot of information. The assembly instructions are nice. I like the way it's colored, so it's easy to identify the parts you're adding on. It seems to be very, very detailed in the instructions. Come back a bit further so it'll be easier for you to see. You do have to plug in the cables into the board, but it does have not only a full board map, but it also over here has where you have to plug your individual components in. So it actually gives you a full map of the board as well, what everything should be plugged in there. Talks about adding on the base after you assemble it. This is nice. How many people get a printer and don't know what component or they're actually interacting with when they ask for questions? Look at that manual there. This is how manuals should be done for printers. You see how detailed that is? It points out everything on the printer, gives it and identifies its name. And then one more surprise. When you have your different tool heads, it actually shows you the inside of the tool head of how it all works. And how your single extruder works. There's a single extruder map. That's really nice. Let's see what's on the next page. And they do the same for the dual extruder. So it's a Y connector. And also for the laser head. They have a detailed breakdown schematic of each of them. Isn't that nice? Every printer, every manufacturer should do this. This is lovely. This is really good. I really like this. Let's see what's next. This is a CNC machine. Hey Renee, how are you? Look at that detail that they provide as part of the user manual. That's really, really clever idea. So people will know if something goes wrong, they know the terms, they know what to use, they know how it should look on the inside. That's very good. That's actually really nice. And then it tells detailed instructions about exchanging the tool heads. See here, detailed instructions, putting in the boarding tubes and so on. Let's see what else we have over here that's really nice. A walkthrough of the menus of how to set everything up in detail. But the price will go up. You like it too, but the price will go up a lot. Actually, for a machine that can do 4 different functions, it's not ridiculously expensive. Let me see if there's anything else in here. And I'll go over the pricing in a moment because this is live right now on Kickstarter. It's still out there. It's got 20 days left on Kickstarter. So if you like what you see, and I'm not promoting a product, I'm just saying if you like what you see, and you think it's a good idea, it's a nice idea, it is available on Kickstarter right now. Early bird pricing is still out there. It's got 20 days left. And obviously early bird stuff means we're going to get good deals. It even shows you, what's this? How to feed filament into the extruder by squeezing the extruder arm. And it explains Z offset for your nozzle compared to what ABL picks up. No problem, Renee. No problem whatsoever. You can join at any time. The fact that you're here is really good. It even identifies issues of where you get possible clogging in your dual extruder, your dual filament printhead. So you have items of stuff to look for. What else? Full detail walk through the menu for each printhead. Explains how to set up each printhead and how to exchange them. This is nice. This is if the English is good, and I haven't checked the verbiage on this yet, but if the English is good, let me go back to main camera. If the English is good, which I haven't checked, this is how printers should come. I'm sorry, and I have lots of printers, and none of them provide detail like this. So I'm impressed with this part alone. The documentation alone is good. As I said, I don't know what the verbiage is like. I have to go through the verbiage to make sure it's good. But I really like what I've seen so far. It shows how to assemble your CNC section for holding down your parts. Everything that you add on is red. Everything you touch is red compared to the rest of the drawing. So the drawing is the black is the actual is the printer or whatever, and in the red is the parts you're actually going to interact with. I really like this. If this is how printer manuals should come without fail. Right? So I'm going to put this aside. I don't really need these, but I will keep my user guide by me. So let's get with the unboxing. Good documentation is king. I agree with you, Welcome. I fully agree with you. Documentation, especially for people who are new, who have never used a printer before, documentation is key for them. And a lot of us have seen documentation that's questionable in some cases very questionable, and that detail, I've never seen anyone provide that, so that blows the competition away when it comes to that side. Yeah, Renee, you agree with Old Curmudgeon, I agree. So let's get to unboxing. I'm going to start bringing the parts over here, and we'll start putting the printer together. So one moment. So we have our nice hefty X and Z gantry. It's not too heavy, but I'm going to leave it aside because I have to bring over the base also. And let me get the base out of the box. If you want to see, let me do that actually so you see what it's like on the inside. Let me untangle some of these wires. And inside the box, this is what it looks like. Everything's well packaged. And down the front there, you see the little white boxes. Those little white boxes are the different various tool heads. So let me get back to unboxing this beast. So we have a couple of white boxes. I'm going to take those out first. Who's that out there? Oh, Renee asked what is the name of the printer. It's the EcubMaker. That's ECUB Maker as one word. EcubMaker ToyDIY2. There was a version of the ToyDIY that was prior to this, and it was a much smaller printer. It had a single Z and it had a gantry arm that actually did all the functions. This is a much bigger version of that printer. So it comes with, let's start with this baby. Switch over close up 2-in-1 main. So it comes with this one, which is the FDM, single FDM. Then it also comes with a dual FDM toolhead. It comes with a CNC head, and these are all quick interchangeable. After you finish, give it to me. It's a long walk from the UK to here. And finally, it has your laser tool head. So, and then this is all of the mountings and so on. So let me go back to the main camera. I need coffee, a lot of coffee. Well, I've had coffee, and it's never enough, especially this hour of the morning on a Saturday morning. So I'm going to stack the tool heads over here at the side. I'll come back to those, and let's have a look inside in the box of mountings, as it says. So in here we have our SD cards, our mounting. We seem to have a spare sensor of some form, various cables, the legs. I can switch this over here and let you see what's inside. How about that? So let me go over 2-in-1 close up. So you have the various bolts, power, laser goggles, which you actually must use, CNC toolkit, which is actually for mounting the CNC, because you have to change the bed for the CNC, a USB cable, oh, a nice full-size set of Allen wrenches, which is nice. That's different. And then some foam for CNC, I'm assuming. This is a sample of the laser quality that it can print. And I believe the sample file that comes with it is one of these. Is this also? It's on a really thin card, but we'll give it a try. And there's a few pieces of card. There's no acrylic included, and I thought there might have been, but there isn't. So we'll give some of these a try later on and see what we can do. Other people have done unboxings, and the unboxing they did was all 3D printing. So I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to do the in my unboxing. I'm not going to do 3D printing. I'm probably going to do a laser engrave just to see how it goes. Other people have done. I know Current Fabrications has actually done an unboxing of this. Mine got delayed with Chinese New Year. It got stuck in Hong Kong, and then eventually it made its way from Hong Kong to Narita and got stuck in Narita, and eventually got stuck. And then after a few days of being stuck in Narita, it made its way to Alaska and got stuck there. Then it's made its way down to Kentucky and got stuck there for a few days, and eventually made its way here. So mine was delayed. So Current Fabrications have done their unboxing, and prior to Chris doing his, it was done. Jim at the Age of Tech also did an unboxing of this, and both of them did FDM printing as their first prints. So I'm going to do one of the other functions as my first. Let's see out there what questions we have. Reminder: alter proxy denies true. Reminder: alter proxy equals Daniel. Okay. Found it. Google is better than Kickstarter. Well, actually, I find it easy to find stuff on Kickstarter, but okay. Yeah, Rene, if you want, paste the link in there. The link is in the description below, I believe. If not, I'm sorry. If not, but I will add it there if you're watching it after the live stream. Let's see. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Diesel, how are you? I'm doing well. It's nice Saturday morning. The sun is shining or snow is melting. It's always good. So, let me put away some of these components because I won't need them yet. I will leave the lasers out because I will need those earlier. And I'm going to pack some of these other materials out of my way. And I'll get to them in a moment. So we're going to get the base out. The base is big. I've seen other people doing the unboxing. It's big, it's heavy, it's metal. So just bear with me a moment. Okay, there's the base, but underneath that, separately, let me slide that forward. And this is, there's two pieces here. One of them is the base for the printer itself. And they're stuck together. Just give me a moment. This is the base for the printer because you have to wire the board yourself, which will stand behind me. I'll get back to that. And this is steel plate for CNC, for your CNC milling, with mounting points for the clips to hold on your part. So we'll get to that later on as well. I won't be doing that today, so we don't need to worry about it. Rene, it's not the description of the. It's not in the description for the Kickstarter link, so you can your biggest box. I don't know if it's my biggest box. It's heavy though. It's about the same weight as, I would say it's equal in weight to the Artist D, or it would be equal in weight to the Weedo X40, which are both IDEX printers, because they have both solid steel bases to them. Most of the other FDM printers come with the extrusion as the main frame, and they don't have heavy steel bases. A heavy steel base adds a lot of weight to your overall device weight. So this is pretty heavy because of that. So let's take out, first of all, there's instructions there. All right. Let me slide this over to the edge and get some of this out of here. Now, I will say you have to assemble it yourself. And I mean all the wiring and everything. So, the instructions are fantastic, going by what I've seen so far. And if the instructions are as good as they appear to be, a beginner could do this. But someone with a bit of technical aptitude would find it way easier. So let's see what we have here. So we have an airplane connector, which is for your heated bed. We have the Z motor, Z1 motor cable coming out of here, Z2 motor, and we have 4 T-nuts with screws in them to mount the gantry on it. Now, let's get out our Allen key set. So these are already in place, so that these will take a bit of, I'm assuming, a bit of finagling to get them aligned. Okay, we have a really small Allen key for, we'll figure out what it's used for later on. And I like this Allen key set, look at that. A full Allen key set that comes with a printer. Normally you get 4 or 5 keys, but this is actually a complete kit, which is nice. You may not use half of them. Let's see who's there. Okay, later on. So, by the way, while those of you who are out there right now, don't forget to click like, subscribe, click that thumbs up, okay? And while you're also out there, ding that bell so you get reminded when I do other live streams, please. Yeah, and those thumbs up actually really help with ratings on YouTube. Now, I also have to do a little bit of self-promotion. If you want to do if you want to support the channel, you can do so by going to my PayPal. The link is coming up here on the bottom of the screen. The donations help keep the streams alive, help me bring more content like this to you. But go to my PayPal. Every little thing helps if you want to help keep the channel going and support my endeavors here to try and bring more and more information to you. Okay, so Tripod's Garage. Hey man, how are you? Loved your live stream the other night with regards to the droid build. That was fantastic. So let's go back to the main. Okay, so let's get the X gantry up here and get it assembled. Everything is well packed, which is great. I'm assuming I'm going to use my own level cutters because I'm ready to use them. And I'm going to take some stuff off here. Actually, no, I'll assemble it first and then I'll actually do that. So let's find the right size Allen key. I'm guessing it's a 3mm. No, it's a 2.5. Okay, so these T-nuts, you should take out the screws out of them. See any questions out there? Nope. Okay, that's good. I try to answer as many questions as I can. So while I'm taking these 4 or 8 bolts out, the T-nuts are actually built in, so they can't leave the extrusion, but you do have to align them. So all I'm doing is actually, let me show you a close-up. Where's my camera? Over here. So all I'm doing is removing these 4 bolts from here, and these T-nuts do slide, so you will have to line them up on the gantry once you put the gantry back in place. Just get that out of the way. And I'm going to talk a little bit about its pricing. Now, Kickstarter is often known for, especially early bird, good pricing. And they have a lot of early bird good pricing. Normally you have 5 or 6 early bird items, and then they up the price to a kind of early-ish type of price, and then they up the price again to a later, but still in the Kickstarter pricing. There's a lot of early bird with this one, so if you want to get a really good, it's a really good pricing. Let me talk about the pricing quickly. Let's see what does 3D Makers Hub says. All right, now I got my coffee and the PC, so he's saying hi to everybody. Okay, hey 3D Printer Hub, that's Daniel. Renee, I'm a little annoyed that they can't select a wider range of pledge. Personally, I don't care about the carving tool, but it would be it would be nice for single and dual extruder with laser head. Well, you could, if you get the dual, you can do a single print. You don't have to do two colors, right? So you have to choose the dual print head with the laser, I believe, and you can do the single extruder with the laser. I think that's one of the options. So let's get these heavy straps off here. Again, they didn't cheap out on these zip ties. These are probably some of the heaviest zip ties I've seen on any printer. Normally it's these tiny little black things, and then these come with really heavy, robust industrial grade zip ties, which is good. It means nothing moves around. Okay. All right. Get some of this foam off this. So I'm assuming the Z goes to the back, as they do with all printers, and it stands in place just like so. Now I have to align these T-nuts, and they're kind of hard to reach, especially the back ones. I think it'd be easier to move Z up. To make it easier to get in there. Let's see. Now, yes, you're right. Now, those are zip ties. They are probably the most heftiest zip ties I've ever seen being used on any 3D printer. Those things are huge. I think they're probably the same thickness of zip tie that police use instead of using cuffs. Let's see. Rene says it's not an option. They only have a single extruder with laser tool heads that includes a CNC carving. Double check. I thought I saw the dual extruder, but double check that. Rene, I did. I clicked on the 4 tool head pledge. Crazy. Well, the last printer, the ToyDIY version 1 that they did, I don't think anyone would give it a bad review. I don't think anyone had anything really negative to say about it, other than its print volume was small. If this is anything close to that, it can be nothing but a goodbye. Now, and at the price they're selling it at, so they have a single filament with a single FDM extruder, is on Kickstarter right now for $349. They also have the FDM, and I think it's single, as Rene just said, it's single, with the laser option. And with the laser option, that's $399 right now on Kickstarter. And then the whole kit, which is what I have, all 4 tool heads, is actually out there on Kickstarter right now for $599. Now this will the full kit. I don't know the MSRPs for the others, but the full kit, which is what I have here, which is all tool heads, its MSRP is $899. So if you do decide it's something you want to look at, you can get $300 off it right now by buying it, or within the next 20 days you get $300 off it, as long as those are available out there right now to order. So let me just get that out of my way. So Rene, you pledged. Nice. I'm sure they'll be happy to have you as a customer. So let me just raise this way up because it's in my way, and I can then align these. It'd be nice if these were fixed in place. They're not, so they can move on you, which is a bit of a bother, but it's not too bad. Let me get this. Oh, Curmudgeon's back. Okay, I didn't even know you went away, so I'm sorry. I didn't even know you were gone. And Chris is back again. I didn't even know. Oh, you're back after getting coffee, I assume. Yeah. Well, as I said, I have had my coffee earlier this morning, so I'm actually on water right now. You can all call me. Hey, SPC, how are you? The Insane Dane. So you want to be called the Insane Dane? Well, I know you're Danish, because you have joined my streams before. So you want to be called the Insane Dane? I don't know if you really want to have that name follow you around, but it's up to you. It does rhyme though, so it is catchy. Maybe you should change your profile, your name, on YouTube to the Insane Dane, because we already have like Maker Viking out there and a couple of others. So the Insane Dane would actually fit in well with the naming convention that's going around. These are a bit of a pain to line up. They're not too bad, but once you move the X-axis up, you got plenty of space. Some people were complaining that they couldn't gain access to the bolts, but it's good being the first person to do an unboxing of a printer. But the downside is you have to learn all the mistakes. You encounter all the mistakes. But when you watch other people do unboxing of a printer, it becomes easier because you see the mistakes they make. Damn, this is a big machine. Look how big this thing is. Like, this thing is massive, and the base is even bigger than the print area. Like, it's overly sized and it's heavy. This thing is going nowhere fast. I would not say it's one of these machines that can be left on the tabletop and be knocked around, because it's so big and heavy, it's not going anywhere. So I'm going to get these on and I'm going to show you what I've done, instead of doing it trying to handle the second camera while I'm assembling. So what else is happening out there? Oh, that was for Chris. Okay. Purely because I pledged to that Kickstarter today. All right. Well, it's still a catchy name, Renee. So I don't think it'd be a bad idea to have a funny handle like that when you're on YouTube. Okay, that's done. So let me show you what I've done on both sides. I'll do the close-up camera. On both sides, I had to put in these 4 bolts here, and I had to line them up with the screws underneath, and then the same on this side. So that's secure. Now that's not the only thing holding it, right? But it does make aligning this easy. There are bolts to go up underneath also. Now everyone that I've seen build this, follow the manual and assemble everything on the outside, and then have to cable it up underneath afterwards, and they run into problems because how to tilt it, what goes where. So I'm going to actually learn from their mistakes, and I'm going to feed the cables in first. So let me cut these, because then when I'm assembling the bolts underneath, I'm going to assemble I'll do the cabling at the same time. So these cables all have to go in through this hole and fed down. I don't know, can you see that there? There's a hole on the bottom where this cable's going. You have to feed the cables down in here, down into the underside of the printer, because you have to plug them into the main board. So you have to feed them in. Let's start with the larger cable first, because it's probably the hardest one to plug in the feed. We'll go through each of these lighter cables next. That way then they're there when I do flip it over. They're already down there for use. And thanks for Jim and Chris for doing the unboxing before me, because then I saw the pain they went through. So I'm learning from their issues that they came across, and they're not big issues. It's just planning about how you go about it. Is all it is. How many milliwatts is on the laser emitter? I'm assuming you mean the laser emitter. So is that actually in there? X. Yeah. Okay, I'm assuming it is. So how many? It is 1.5 watt, which is a 1,500 milliwatt laser. So it's not a very high intensity beam laser, and it shouldn't be, because even lasers are dangerous. Whether you're burning wood, whether you're burning paper, whatever, an exposed laser, and this would be an exposed laser because we'd be hovering above the bed. So an exposed laser is always dangerous. Even though they give you glasses, they give you one pair of glasses. One pair of glasses protects you, the person who's setting it up, who's running it. It does not protect anybody else. So if someone walks into a room when they're actually using a laser, they're at risk of getting a reflected light hitting their eyes or whatever, and it can damage your eyes easily. And the one thing about eye damage that most people do not know: if you stare at the sun or a laser, you may not notice the damage. It can take up to 24 hours for the cells in the back of your eye, in the cornea in the back of your eye, to actually die. And so you could get a blast, you could get it in a quick flash of laser in your eye or whatever, and you might not notice anything. But the next morning you wake up and you've lost your eyesight, because it takes time for the eye cells to die. That's my nerdy moment. Because those of you who do not know me, I'm a big science nerd, and I know stuff like this because of astronomy and so on. So you have to be very careful. So if you have other people who going in and out of the room, unless it's a totally secluded like workshop or whatever, you should have multiple pairs of these laser and glasses, and they only come with one. You buy some more online if you have other people in your home. Highly recommended. So what other questions? Let's see. I did one Kickstarter. So Chris did one Kickstarter, and that was for a mechanical keyboard. Liam, if you have cable method works, you should contact the manufacturer. And yes, actually, I will be feeding back this to the manufacturer, so don't worry. I think this would work better than some of the other options that people have experienced. They should change the order. I think they should anyway. Light amplification by simulated emission of radiation. Michael, correct. Welding is the same. Yes, you are the same. Yeah, welding you'll see spots, but it could take a while, because in welding it's the ultraviolet light that actually blinds you, and this would actually be some UV as well when it's burning. A welding flash is also dangerous, correct, because it's high intensity UV light. A warning sign on a door would be a good idea. But warning signs on the door work for some people. It doesn't work for everybody. You know, I don't know what this cable is for. I may have to come back to this one. Let me quickly check if there's a call for an additional cable here in the manual. So all of that feeds down. I suppose we'll find out in a moment. Assemble. Oh, I want to make sure there's an extra cable there. I want to make sure. Hey Verb, how are you? Actually, you know, in the manual it does show the cables having to go under. It actually doesn't. It does show the cables having to go underneath. But let's have a quick look to make sure if there's any extra cabling I need. doesn't appear to be. So we'll wait and see. There is an extra cable there. Maybe it's a spare. It actually looks like 2 spare. One looks like a sensor and one looks like a stepper motor cable. Let's see. I agree. It wouldn't hurt to have the old curmudgeon have the warning. Yes. Never run a green laser pointer in the cold. It does. Yes, it does emit low frequency UV light when it's cold. Rene, the people who does not care about signs just walk in. It's not only that. It's kids. Young kids will walk into a room without reading a sign. That's the biggest worry. I'm not too worried about adults. You give them a sign, they should have the common sense to follow it. It's young kids are the biggest worry in my opinion. So there are some cables over here that need to be. This is filament sensors. These also need to go down to be tucked in underneath. This is a filament sensor and an extruder E2 motor, which are the extruders will be mounted up here, and you have our cabling up here for those. So these need to go in here. And while I'm at it, the 2 stepper motors for your x-axis, the cables are here, so I'm actually going to plug them in while I'm here and get them done, so you don't have to worry about them in the future. And there's one over on this side. Okay. Now, I'm going to use some of this foam, tilt it over on its side, and I'm going to bring the camera around so you can see what's underneath. So let me do a bit of a shuffle. This is not a light printer. Tilt it over so we do not put weight on the x-axis. Okay, let me bring my second camera around. Let's see what's here. It is UV or IR7. The cheap ones use crystal doublers. Yeah. Kids and pets. I agreed, old curmudgeon. I make signs for a living. Nobody ever pays attention. Never a truer statement was ever uttered. Signs are never ever used, are never observed. I fully agree with that. So we have these. Let me change to close up like this. So we have these 4 screws, and these 4 screws hold on the X gantry, and what they do is they go in here. There's 2 here, and there's 2 up here. So you not only have the 4 screws on the L brackets holding the upper gantry on, but you also have 2 stronger bolts coming in through the base, and it's actually through that's 2060 extrusion. So let's get that done. Let me back off here so you can see what's going on. Now I will say, you see the way this is actually stopping? Let me get in closer so you can see it. You see the way it's sitting on the outside of the extrusion right here with a washer, instead of actually having the extrusion bored out. So it actually goes in and sits into the V-rail. That would probably be a nicer and stronger fit than this, but it is what it is. I'm just saying it would be, I think it would be a better, to actually bore that out would be a better solution. What other question? Kids and pets. Let's say it makes signs for a living. Locking the door with a key. That does work. Locking a door does make a difference. Yes, I agree. A box cover like the resin printers would help. Covering it with a box would help a lot. I agree. There's a downside to that though, but you need to be able to keep an eye on the work, because you don't want a fire. Because with a laser, there's potential of fire, right? And you don't want a fire starting and it being under a box and you not be able to see it. So an enclosure would be a good idea with a polycarbonate cover that you can see through, so you can see the laser, but the polycarbonate will actually block the UV light coming off the laser. Or a completely sealed one with a camera in the inside. That's your choice. Like a solid wooden box or whatever would actually work better. But I don't like the idea of a cardboard box so much, especially when you're dealing with something that can potentially catch fire. Okay, those are tight. Okay, let's do the two top ones. Same thing, just get them started and get them tightened up. Oh, have a good day at work, Daniel. Thank you for the good wishes on the stream. So let me get these tightened down. It's only the same 4 bolts. And it's the same on the top. They're not. It's not countersunk into. So it actually sits into the V rail. But as long as it holds it, that's what matters, right? Now I'm going to do the cabling, even though the manual says not to do the cabling yet. It says connect everything else up. I'm going to do the cabling first now that I'm here. I don't want to have to come back to it, and I don't want to have to deal with all that additional weight and so on hanging out the top that could cause problems with that some of the other guys have seen during their assembly videos. So while I'm in here, let me get out the manual, the really detailed manual, which I love, and have a look at what they've done with their cabling, and then I'll double back and do the rest of the outside setup. So again, look at this. Look how detailed this is. This tells you where everything plugs in. We have to plug all our cables, and over here on the other side you have a map of every plug on the board, what it's for. That's really nice. Sorry, I can't sing the praises of this high enough. This is the way printer manuals should be done. Anybody else out there who's listening, who are manufacturers, who want to do manuals, this is how you should be doing it. So let's map all of our cables up. We have all of this coming in from the outside over here. And let's see. Tool head cable goes in over here, and it is it keyed? Oh, it's not keyed, but it's colored. You see that? Let me bring it up here. See, they have the orange stripe. You have the orange stripe on the outside here for the tool head cable. So it's colored, which let's see if it goes in the other way around, just for the sake. Not very well, but it will. They are slightly shaped, but it goes in easier. I think it would be better if it was keyed, but it's not. That plugs in there. Let's see what other cables we have. Let me back this off so you can watch closer. I need to raise my camera a fraction. Not enough. Need to raise it more. There you go. You can see the whole board now. So this printer comes with multiple tool heads. It does if you buy the 4 tool heads kit. You can get it with a single tool head. It's your choice, and that's much cheaper. Right now it's $3.49 for a single FDM print for a single color. You can get it with a single color and a laser for $3.99. So you get 2 tool heads, or you can buy all 4 tool heads in the kit for $5.99. So you change the tool heads, and the tool heads are laser, CNC, a single extruder FDM, single color, or a Y cable or a Y connector coming into for dual colors. So you can actually have two colors coming into one nozzle, and that's $5.99 right now. So let's go around the board. E1 filament sensor goes over here. I have two X. This is the X limit switch. That's X minus. So let's go over to these ones. I have more cables than you can imagine. This is E2 filament sensor. E2 sensor goes in here. Right, then we have our X max switch at X minus, E2, I assume the X minus is the X max switch. Let's do the other ones first. E2 motor goes in down here. E1 motor goes in here. This here says ACM, aluminum composite material. It's nice for making. I can't really read that. Let me move this over here a fraction. I can read what it says. It's nice for making enclosures, but it can be cut out with a utility knife. I haven't tried it, so yeah, you could probably, yeah, oh yeah, you could use it, yeah. This is our X motor. Comes in over here, and this one is the X max switch, which is in the top over here. So I think that's it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cables connected. I believe that's all of them. I'm going to leave the base off for now until I make sure everything works. Make sure I didn't mess up and plug something in the wrong way. But I don't think so, because the documentation is really good. So I'm going to do. Actually, let me do a quick look before that. PWM interface, extruder motor, Z motor, Y, they're all in. Fan 1, fan 2. I think we're good. Now let's look at the board while we're here. So it is their own board. Oh, it's not focusing, is it? There we go. It is not a silent stepper. It is not. I haven't looked to see what steppers are on there here. I will at some point pop these off. I just don't want to damage anything right now. But it is their own EcubMaker board. You see right there. So there is, and it does not. I believe it's some of the older TMCs is what it's running. So it does not have silent steppers on it. So it's not going to be a quiet printer. Right. I think I'm going to put the base on, because then I can flip it up and do the rest of it. I may regret putting this on right now, but let's get it done. So let's stand this up here. I'm going to go over the full screen for now. And I need to get out the legs for the base. Oh, that's the wrong one. bolts in there. Oh, they're here. Screws and nuts to connect to connect the CNC plate. Okay, this is all for CNC. Where are the bolts for the base? There they are. For milling, it won't matter though. Let's see. It says fumes can be an issue for engraving too. Yes, it can. Fumes can be a problem for engraving. Depending on the material, there's certain materials you never use a laser on. Like if you don't want to be, you don't use a laser on, what's it called? Vinyl, ever. If laser on vinyl, when you burn the vinyl, because that's what a laser does, you're actually releasing, the gases coming off it are really bad for you. They actually attack the lungs. And they actually affect your immune system as well. Yeah, it's looking quite good right now. Hey Jerry, how are you? I didn't see you pop in. I'm going to put a base on this, and I may regret this in a while, but right now I'm going to put a base on because I don't want to come back and have to deal with it later on again. I think I have everything cabled correctly, and if not, I'll find out the hard way. So let me find the right size key for this. There we go. Some nice little rubber feet that go on into place. Get it started. Don't use it on ABS as well. I agree. Yeah, chlorine gas is also, that's what it was. It was chlorine gases given off by, chlorine gas is also emitted by vinyl. So you never ever cut vinyl with that. You should always use a cutting tool like a blade for vinyls. Because it's nasty stuff. You don't want to get any of that into your lungs. I beat you to vinyl, did I, old curmudgeon? Well, I have a CO2 laser, and people often ask, can I cut vinyl on this? And the answer is, will it cut it? Yes. Should you cut it? No. What you can do and what you should do are often very different. Because vinyl, certain materials like ABS, like nylon, you do not want to cut those with anything. Even printing nylon, which is why we insist on using enclosures and so on for nylons, because nylons can be nasty stuff. The emissions of nylon can be really bad. Chlorine gas. Let me prop this a fraction more. There's nothing light about this printer. It's a hefty beast. Once you have this set up, it's going nowhere. My first education is a dairyman, making cheese and yogurt. Okay, well, we all like cheese and yogurt, so unless you're lactose intolerant. I agree. It is very, very dangerous. Yeah, there's lots of materials you need to be careful about when you're talking about burning, or even 3D printing, because 3D printing is heating it to the point, heating it enough that some of the chemical compounds break down. What is Renee? Oh yeah, it does. Yeah. There is a lot of nasty side effects. You always have to be very careful. Now, this printer has an auto-sensing voltage. There's no switch. So I don't have to worry about voltage settings. Let me get rid of that. and park this baby upright. Now, let's connect. Turn it around so it's easier for everybody to see. I can go into this close-up cam. So we have these airplane connectors, which I really like. Turn it that way, it's easier to see. And it is keyed, so it's easy to insert. And the nice thing about these is when it wants to go on, they're held in place. They're very robust. Creality used to use these a lot, and I really like them. Oh, that connector's a bit loose. It's fine, but I'll have to tighten it up later on when I get time. USB port, which is a USB-B port here in the back. I'm getting my morning workout working on this printer. Let's see here. Oh boy. Now, let's get our extruders installed. So this is my box for my extruders. Everything is super well packed. Let's see here. Nasty stuff. Produce deadly gas quite often. Yeah. Oil commodities, not just the R12, but also CFCs. Yep, CFCs are bad for you as well. There's a lot of. That's why we're very careful when it comes to 3D printing. And no matter how often we warn people about doing stuff, not everybody listens. It's a bit like the conversation we had a while ago when we say when somebody makes signs for a living, nobody listens to them, nobody pays any attention to the signs. This is very, very similar. We warn people, we give them advice, and they say the worst advice is advice, and it's kind of true. And we all have we all want to help people out there, but hey, Mylan, how are you? We all want to help people. That's why we have streams and all this kind of stuff, but some people just don't want to be helped. And we can give all the advice in the world, and there's too much bad advice out there too. Like, if for every one person that says, I can print this in this way, 10 people will come in and say, oh, I do it without, or at least one person will come in and say, oh, I do it without an enclosure, or I do it without this, or I do it without that. Yeah, sure. But what are you risking? You know, you have to take that into account as well. So people make. I don't like people who come into streams and do that. Who are into are on groups. They come in and they add their opinion to the group, which is fine, which is why we're there. But they're giving bad advice, and there's lots of bad advice out there. Way too much. So Bowden tube. And an empty box. So we have E1 extruder, everything's labeled. Right, this is, let me do this. So we have the E1 extruder, one is labeled for E1, the other is labeled as E2. So, and what's nice about this is the extruder, the stepper, and the filament arm are all built into one. And your filament runout sensor. It's all together. So you just have 4 bolts to put on and you're finished. And these need to go on up here at the back. So there's 4 screws. Yeah. It's the same as what we did down here for the eccentric. There's 4 screws with T-nuts up here. I can quickly show them to you. Close up. So there's 4 there, there's 2 there and 2 here, right? Or 4 in total with the cables, and we're going to mount them up there. So we have E1 and E2. What's everyone saying? I'm just happy to be part of this group. For insanely dedicated and friendly people. Well, I think all the groups are friendly out there. There's going to be someone out there who's not, right? There's always the one person that's out to stir things up. But the vast majority of people in the 3D printing community are friendly. They're nice. We always find one or two on groups who are there just to cause trouble. We've seen it. You're in groups that I'm also in. And we've seen people who are, I think it's their full-time job is to whine and complain. And some people have reason to complain, but some people just do it just because they can. So let me get these on. As I said, there's 4 bolts back here. I have to undo the 4 bolts to align these. Let me cut these cables. There's these zip ties. When I take them out of my way. These are for the extruder cables, and they're getting in my way. Sorry, I'm not looking at chat. I'll be with you in a moment. For those who are posting something to my attention, I'll be with you in a quick second. Let me finish getting this set up and I'll be with you. Another sunny day. I think our spring has finally come. We might get a chance of some snow here, but I think it's we're on the latter half of it right now. I think we'll get some, like, it's cold at night, but it's warm or warm-ish during the day. Once the sun comes out and the snow starts melting, it's a good sign. But I think our spring might be coming early this year, which is nice. But saying that, it could be lulling us into a false sense of comfort, because we've got snow in April. I've seen snow in May, and then all of a sudden overnight it goes from snowing to 70 degrees. So it happens a lot. Let's see. You're always welcome, Renee. Chris, Liam, pretty soon you're going to need the step ladder to get to the top. At this point, it's either that or I need to chop the legs off my table, because I made the table high for a reason, because it's easier, rather than bending over and you seeing the top of my head while I'm building a printer. But some of these printers, yeah, they get pretty up there, some of them. So yeah, I might need, it's either that or I have to build a table that I can actually lower and increase its height. So when I build a tall printer, I can actually drop it down as I start working on the top of it. One or the other would have to happen. I agree. 3D printing newbie, Mylan. Sorry I'm late. You're always welcome, Mylan. And what we're building is an EcubMaker, ECUB, EcubMaker ToyDIY2. This is on Kickstarter right now. It has 4 interchangeable print heads. 2 of them are print heads. So it has a single extruder, which is a single nozzle, 1 filament feed. It's got a 2 extruders coming in and 1 nozzle coming out, so it's a Y connector in the print head. So it can do 2 color prints. It can change over to being a laser and a CNC mill head. So you can actually do a lot of head exchanges on this. So it's a 4-in-1 printer. Oh yes, but people do that complaining probably weren't brightest star amongst you. I will not govern based on Ben being the brightest star or not. I will say that there are people out there who whine for a living, and some people have reasons to gripe, and I have no problem with that. If something's not right, fine, speak it up, right? But when something just does not, when some people just complain, it makes you wonder why they're really complaining. Now, extruder 1. Let's get these extruders on. Just give me one moment. I'll be over here to the side. I'm not hiding from you. I'm over here. For those who cannot see me, I'm just trying to get these started. I will say one thing. The Allen key that comes with it, the hex key, with the extruders already been mounted, is kind of short. It's a little bit short to reach. It can be done, but it would be easier if this was another 3 centimeters longer. It would make life easier. Because it does get in the way. So don't worry, I'm still here, guys. I'm just trying to assemble this. I can reorientate it in a moment, so I'm back in camera. Actually, let me do that now, because I don't want you to think that I've abandoned you. I'll turn the printer around so I'm actually standing behind it instead. Oh, my boy. Again, there's nothing light about this. This is one heavy printer. And I really think if these T-nuts were actually captured in place. Yes, metal spool holders, but it's metal arms, but the actual spool holder part itself, the piece that's coming out, is actually plastic. I'm guessing ABS. But yes, the extruder arm, the tension arm on the extruder, is plastic. But that should be okay, and they're easy enough to replace anyway with other stuff. You can get all metal versions of them out there pretty easily. Liam is really a little person. I'm not the tallest person in the world. I'm not tiny. I'm 5'9". But yeah, I'm not the tallest person on the planet either. So your comment may be accurate, Jerry. But I'm not using a milk crate. No, I'm not that small. But I'm not the tallest person on the planet either. Hazard of my occupation, part of my job is to find problems in the power grid. Cool. That's a cool job, actually. I'm sure it's a busy job. And especially if you're anywhere near Texas right now, and in the last week or two, it's even busier. I have a wish, winning the lottery so I can buy a house that can support all my hobbies. I think we all have that wish. I'm a little person. Well, maybe in comparison to some, I will admit I'm not super tall. But I'm tall enough for to be me, and I use the genetics I got, so it is what it is. Well, you're 5'8", so yeah, I'm taller than you. That's fine. Who said what's up? Dum Dum, hey man, Dum Dum Dev, how are you? Some of you are regulars on my stream, so I know you. Coming in, chatting with me on my Hangouts and stuff. So let's get these cables connected. We have an e-motor cable, which is right here. We plugged in, which is just the right size actually, the right length, very nice. And then we have our filament run-out sensor. Again, just the perfect length. No pulling of cables, no tension on it. Nice. Let's get the second one done. We're approaching the home stretch, I hope. So we have these cables. I need to move these out of the way. I need to align these T-nuts as I go. I'm a millionaire because of Lego. Well, I used to be a billionaire. I'm doing good. Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks, Matt. These two filament sensors, or these two extruders, need to be mounted really close together. I'm doing okay for a short guy, is that right, Matt? Okay, let's get some more of these started. I have to be careful not to lose them when I'm putting on the second one, because it's a restricted space. Yeah, it's a bit more involved than many 3D printers to assemble, I would say. Not in a bad way, it's just after assembling this, if you've never owned a 3D printer before and you've put it together, you would know how to do repairs in your printer, so that's a good side. But it is kind of, some of the assembly is kind of tight, so it's kind of tricky, but all doable, even for a beginner, I would say. I really like their instructions, so that really helps with a beginner. Okay, get the last one screw in. Let's see, 3D Printer Mile says, let them know big things come in small packages. I have a counter argument to that. I always say good things come in small packages, but so does poison. So it depends on your point of view. And again, I'm not that small, so there's a lot of people out there who are, and the height, like, let's see, Alexa says 5'9" is the average, so I'm average. That's okay. Average is better than not, right? So since we have someone who says Alexa says, I believe you're one of these people that has iPhones or something along those lines. I have to admit, I'm not a big lover of the Apple mobile devices. I like their laptops and desktops, but I'm not a big fan of their. But that's personal preference. I'm more of an Android user. Just laser engraved vinyl, then. Laser engraved vinyl. Thank you for wishing that on me. Yeah, nobody ever laser engraves vinyl. That's bad juju. And then we have our, I have to click this. It's a little short. This one's a little bit short. Okay, there is tubing covering it, so I'm going to remove the tubing I'm going to connect it up, and then I'll recover it again. Common salt. Yeah, this side is a little tight because of the covering that they have on the in the V extrusion to cover the cables. I know you wouldn't, Renee. Okay, so we have that set up. We have two Bowden tubes to install. So let me spin it around. Now, the Bowden tubes ideally should go through this. Or should they? No, they're not long enough. Okay, so we have blue one with blue end for one side and red for the other. So let's get this installed. Done. Okay. Now I think I would like to have these attached to this. Let me actually undo them again. I'm going to try and feed them through that because I like it to be tidier than loose like this. I don't like that idea. We can get them to exit earlier if needed. Because this is the cable for the hot end. Liam in real life is 3'8" and the camera makes him big. If I was 3'8", I'd be standing on a milk crate, and I'm not. So let's see. How far have we got? We'll open the tube. Be easier to feed them from the top. Okay, that's the red one. That's much tidier than having the cables outside. Okay, that's nice and tidy. Let's see. Okay, anything else? I do think that I need a milk crate to assemble this printer. Unless I place it on the floor. Not really. It's I wouldn't say so, but it's not a bad. It's not bad. Now it does have linear rails, by the way, guys. This is the x-axis is on a linear rail. That's nice. And the belt for the x-axis is actually inside the 2020 extrusion. It's actually inside the groove. So it's really tidy. So you don't have any loose cables sticking around the sides. So let me check everything. So I have this. These are all plugged in. This is plugged in. The extruders are all plugged in. I have my cable for my power cable out here for my various heads. Let's see what else. Oh wait, I do have a milk crate. The bed for that printer is 100 by 100. Yeah, it makes me look big. Let me actually measure the bed, because they say it's a print area of 350 by 300 by 350 in Z, right? So let's actually measure the bed. It's actually not 350. It's 325 on Y and 325 on X. So it's not 350. It's 325 by 325. So what's posted is actually incorrect. I'll mention that to them that they need to fix that. It's actually a little smaller than what they're advertising. The bed printer should be linear rail on all three. It doesn't have a linear rail on all three. It does have dual Z axis. It does have a linear rail here on the X. And the Y is not linear rail, but it's sturdy. There's no movement on it. You said something about silent steppers. I said no, it doesn't have silent steppers. It does not have them. What's the build volume? I just covered that. It is, as I said again, I'll cover it again. It is 325 on Y, 325 on X, and Z, we'll find out. I'm guessing 350 on Z. I used to work on film production. We used Apple crates more often than you think. I would agree with that. So it's not 350 by 300 Rene. That's actually incorrect. It's a 325 by 325 is what I just measured. I can show you if you doubt me. I can show you, but it actually is 325 by 325, and that's the full build area. And you're going to never print on the very edge, so you're going to lose a little bit again. But 350 on the Z is probably right. Yeah, that is, yes, all imagine true. When you're doing CNC, you will not hear the rest of the printer move because the spindle head will make a lot of noise. Right, it's built, I think. Shall we find out? Let's see if we can, let's get the SD card. Oh no, I missed one part. I forgot one part. It has, instead of using a purge tower, it actually has a purge tray. So it moves over, purges on the tray, and the tray is cold, so the film will come out and just fall off out to the side. And then it has these little rubber. Let me get a close up of this. It's got these little rubber grommets, so the head comes over and passes over these and cleans itself as it goes in and out. And then it drops, whatever falls drops off the purge tray and slides off onto your desk. So I need to mount that on the side here. It goes onto, there's two little screws there, so I'm assuming, oh, I think I know where, I see where it goes. Oh, by the way, I built this without even looking at the instructions. I looked at the instructions once or twice. Okay, so let me zoom over here. Right by the extruder, and under the rail, you have two little holes here. This is where the purge tray goes. So the X gantry comes over and passes over the purge tray. So let me go back to full screen while I assemble that one. And I can dump that. And I'll find the right the size of that. It's probably the one I've already had out. Yep. I think I have put away the 2.5, and where did I leave that? Perfect. I'm losing tools under all of these containers. Just 1 second, I'll get a 2.5. Grab one of my own. That's not the right one. So let's see what else has been said. So just get my own 2.5. We get to start it off. Let's see what it comes. Let's see. Oh, you would love to review an IDEX. You know, yeah, IDEX printers are nice. There's a lot of nuances to them, Jerry. You should reach out to the guys. I know right now, and we should talk actually separately, but there's a couple of companies out there that are working on some IDEX printers right now, none of which I'm working with, but there are some companies out there working on some IDEX, some new machines. So maybe you should consider reaching out to some of those guys. You do have enough followers on your channel, maybe. A lot of the companies have a limitation of 10,000 followers. I do not have 10,000 followers. I'm lucky that I have a relationship with a few companies. And I think half it's because of my background and so on that's helping. But you should reach out to some of them if you. But they often require a high number of followers, and that often is a hard number that they set. And companies like Creality set a really high number, and a lot of other companies who are not as big also follow suit. And so there's nuances to doing that. You know, there's parts of that you have to be aware of more. Zip ties. Okay. Printer is pretty much assembled. Let's see, is the EcubMaker also what's called an FDM type? You mean the EcubMaker, the Artist D IDEX? It is an FDM printer. FDM means forced deposition manufacturing. That's what FDM means, right? So when you hear of FDM printers, it's pushing material out through a nozzle, melting material, it's melting with filament, and forcing it out through, and it's depositing, hence the name forced deposition manufacturing, right? So any printer that pushes material out through a nozzle is FDM. Resin is not FDM, it's different. But it's similar in some ways. And then, let me take this off. That's lovely. It says here, let's read this out loud. It says, the platform adjustment knob is used to adjust the flatness of the engraving platform during CNC engraving. You cannot use the knob to adjust the platform during 3D printing and dual color printing. So you do not use these knobs at all for 3D printing. It wants you to only use the ABL feature. In 3D printing, the dual color 3D printing functions, the platform adjustment knob cannot be turned because ToyDIY has an automatic leveling function. If the height of the platform is adjusted by the knob, it will cause a deviation of the offset value and distance of the nozzle of the first layer, and print will be too high or too low. In the 3D printing or dual color printing functions, if the adjustment knob has been turned, be sure to execute the auto set offset option and save it correctly. In the 3D printing and dual color functions, if the first layer cannot be adhered to in the print, please use the auto set offset option and save it correctly. So they do not want these 4 bolts on the side are just to hold the bed on. They are not designed to level your bed. They say you only use the ABL system. So let's look at that before we set up the printing. I want to check chat first. What I write comes to you 30 seconds later. Just answer before you measure. Yeah, that's normal. That's a normal delay when it comes to YouTube. And any streaming service, they have a buffer. They buffer the data before they feed it out to the public. So there's normally is a 30-second delay. I can change that. I can make it faster. But the downside of that is you may have gaps in the feed, or it may stop and start. You don't want that happening. I'm going to do a home manual hit end stops to be safe. Yes, it does. It does have that feature. Let's see. I reached out to JG and your second IDEX company. Yes, I know they're here all the time, but reviewed Torah and Creality. That's not. I've never done either of those two. RSD is IDEX, correct. FDM, forced deposition to deposit. Forced deposition manufacturing is what FDM stands for. Okay, well, come on, you can answer that. Very good. All right, so let's talk about. I'm going to go to the laser head first. I'm not going to do a print or CNC because the CNC is just too loud, and I will do them at some point. So I'm actually going to do the laser head. To attach the laser head is easy. There's a bolt right here. Thumb screw. You remove it. Take out the head. I'm going to keep these boxes because it's nice for keeping tidy. Now, I want to show you how the ABL works. Let me go over to... I'm going to move my camera up here and I'm going to go over to close-up. So, this is the printer. This is what... they're all similar. They all look the same. Right? They all printed. Some of them have a laser. This is a laser. Some has a CNC chuck at the bottom. Some of them have nozzles. Their FDM is activated by when the printer homes, it moves up and it triggers this. You see that little spike that came down? That is your FDM. That is your sensor for ABL. So that's how it finds the Z top by pushing that down, and it comes down and triggers this and does your ABL by triggering it during your print. And then when that's done, and then when it's done, it locks it up like this. That's how it works. So it's their own. It's like a normal ABL, but it's there's a few. It's their own build of it. Anytime I change something affecting an end stop, when I G28, I always manually operate the end stop so it doesn't work. So if it doesn't work, I can power off before it crash. I've never done that personally. I normally G28 and the end stops work unless you think there's a problem with it. I always just be ready to hit the power switch, because you don't want it just to manually trigger it some other ways. Just kill the power, figure out what you did wrong, and go back to it again. That's what I normally do. But in other terms, I use FFF is forced filament fabrication. Some people use that as well. But I believe the official term is FDM, forced deposition manufacturing, because it is a type of manufacturing. So let me go back to the close-up camera again. So right here, the connector for this connector. Where am I in camera? There we go. This connector, which does the toolhead cable, is called. Everything's labeled, well labeled. Plugs right in, and it's keyed. So it goes in with the key on the back, like so. And then that slides on, and the little thumb screw goes in the back to hold it in place to make sure it doesn't move. Now this cable is looping down, which is not what I want, so I can give it a bit of a twist to get it to move it upright. And I don't like this. Maybe putting the tubes through this was not a good idea. That'll work. Okay, so it's set up, and I'm going to use a manual to walk through this, right? Because there is an instruction on how to do this. I have a power cable already here. Power is on the back. Guys, pray, no magic smoke, okay? It's off. Plugging it in. Ready? Cross your fingers, everybody. Auto sensing of your voltage. Fantastic. So I'm going to turn this. Now, since I'm using the laser feature, I'm getting out my glasses. Like, cool. And these are adjustable, which is nice. Let's see. Anytime I change something, okay, we cover that. I like S3D. I don't use S3D. I don't like it, and I don't think you have to pay for it, because there's more up-to-date applications out there. It's kind of outdated, I think. Is it good? Yeah, but it's outdated. There's actually free apps. There's free slicing software out there that's out there today. Like EcubMaker is fantastic for mechanical parts. Cura is great, and there's other slicers out there that are really, really good, and they don't cost money. And S3D haven't updated in about 3 years. They are way behind. That's my opinion. If they want to convince me otherwise, you know where I am, guys. But I haven't seen a good version of S3D out there that's modern, that has features that Cura has or that EcubMaker has. They are way behind the curve right now. They're years behind. But it is a good slicer for its time, but it has been left behind. I wish they weren't dying out and come out with version 5. Yes, I agree. They are way behind, and version 5 would be a big step forward, because they're missing a lot of features right now. The reason why I asked Chris is because I purchased the Soren 3D files from GameBody, and it does so many files, which is awesome. Okay. Hold on to your butts. Yeah. Well, yeah, okay. Hold on to your eyes. Let's get... Actually, before I do anything else, get on my trendy glasses. What do you think? Fashion statement? No? Okay. Alright, maybe not. So let me get... where am I looking for? I'm looking for a piece of wood. So they have a sample engraving that comes with the printer. And it's very detailed. Let me get a close-up of that. That's really detailed laser. Alright? Now... with any diode laser, you never run it at 100% all the time, because it's just bad to run it at 100% all the time. You'll burn out the diode. So you should try and run it as... It's better to run it at 50% and run 2 passes than run it at 100% in 1 pass. And the same goes for any type of laser, because they will burn out. But that is really nice detail right there. So I believe this is a test piece, and this is to show you what you can get. And so we're going to give it a try. Okay? And I am actually going to follow the manual for this, because there are 2 pieces of this board, and I think it's dense cardboard is what it is. but there are two pieces of this, and I'm going to go over the guide on how to get this set up properly to make sure we are right for laser. So, and the menu is a little different on this. So turn the status off. So press the power switch on the button. At this time, the display lights up, and we have to go into the menu. Now I have to turn this to get access to the menu, because this is a very the size of the base. Let's cover the size of the base. We covered a print area, which is okay, right? But the base is way bigger. So its print size, the size of the base front on the y-axis is 45 or 4.5 centimeters, okay, or 4.5 centimeters. It's 45 centimeters on the y-axis, and the base is wide. It is 55 centimeters wide, 550 millimeters. And the X gantry, because it's long, the X gantry overall size, allowing for a bit of room for cable, is 70 centimeters wide. And height, including the spool holders, and to give a room for spools, you're looking at about 85 to 90, I would say 85, 87 centimeters tall, to allow you put full spools on those spool holders. So this is a bit of a beast. Now I didn't allow much for cabling and stuff, but that's the size of the overall printer. Let's see what we have here. Rennie Anderson, yeah, understandable. It does help to understand the different file types to identify which printing technology to use. I agree. I couldn't agree more. It all requires, we all have learning curves when we get into a new hobby. And I believe, Rennie, this is your first. You bought the Artist D, and then now you bought this printer, or at least you backed this printer on a Kickstarter, as a the Artist D will be your first printer, and IDEX is the first printer. It's a steep learning curve, but you'll get there. I'm sure of it. So SD card goes in here at the side somewhere, and is it upside down or right way up? Let me see. It's right way up, I think. Yeah. Okay. So the menu, I'm going to give you a close-up of the menu as I go through it. So the screen is here, and I'm going to use the manual because let me do 2-in-1 close-up. There we go. So we're going to set this. We're going to go to Utility. Then I'm following the guide to make sure I do this correctly. Change tool header, sorry, and change to laser header. Do next. Finish. Please shut off the power and remove the original tool head. So that's if you're changing from one to the other. So I'm going to do a power off and power on as requested. And power back up, and it should come up and say yes, you're on set up for laser. So it says right here, laser 3D printer. And if you go, so that's the toolhead status. So it displays the toolhead status right on top. Let's see, correct. And then this one, yeah, you're correct. Renee says, I know it's a steep learning curve, but I'm not going crazy things to begin with. Yeah, you always take your time. Start small. Do we know when this is? I believe it's going to be shipping in April or May, if memory serves me correctly. I think it's April or May. So we're ready to go. So now we're going to follow the steps. So it says, enter the menu laser guide. Laser guide. and follow the steps. Take out the goggles, sample materials, an SD card, and accessories. Always wear your goggles during laser engraving. Place 1, place objects. Auto home center. So now, as you see here on the larger screen, you should be able to see this is auto homing. That's not good. So we have an end stop not working. So let's go look at that. Let me go back to the main. That should have not done that. End stop is here. It does trigger. Cable goes down. I may have to open the base of this again to figure out why it did not home. So we have an end stop not working. Let's try that one more time before and see if it does this again. No, actually, I'll just go straight into it. I need my foam packing again. Let's see. Interesting. I wonder will we receive both printers within the same month? Laser go burr. It's not the laser go burr. It's the. It's probably the end stop that's not triggering, and I can quickly check that by flipping the beast over. And I did put the base on, and that's fine. I can just get back to it, slide it over there, and we'll go have a look underneath and see what's going on. Where I put my, I believe this is the right one. It's not. That's why you test end stops. I agree. You always test end stops, and this they're designed to bump like that. They're okay. It doesn't hurt them. If you leave it running like that for a long time, then you're asking for trouble. But if it's just quick, it's okay. Stuff like this happens. It's part of. Instead of saying that's why you test end stops, you could always say that's how you test end stops, right? Because when it crashes, it's not working. Let me get these. I might actually leave this off for now. And this is the end stop I'm referring to, I believe. Let me make sure it's correct. In the cabling, I have a cabling harness diagram. The Y motor. Yeah, it's this one, and it's plugged in. Here, so this is a Y limit switch. Well, it's plugged in. Almost wondering if it's reversed. There's one way to find out. Go to utility, laser print guide, auto home. Oh, it's working. It worked that time, so it wasn't seated right. So let's retry that again. It worked that time, so the cable may have been loose. So let me unplug it and put it back down. I'll leave the base off for now. It probably wasn't fully seated, is why it didn't react. So I'm going to leave the cable a little bit open underneath for now. And just leave it on the base as is. And let's try that again. I think it wasn't fully seated. And remember, this is a pre-production machine, right? It's on Kickstarter. They have not started producing this machine yet. So that cable was already plugged in. It may have come loose. So we go to laser print guide. Place objects. Done. Auto home. Let's see if it works now. Oh, now the X is not auto homing. Let me come around this side, guys. I see why. You see this? This is actually for your Z, to trigger your Z, and it's bent down. So that's stopping the X-axis. Oh, that's the problem. That's actually stopping the X-axis travel. I think this needs to be way up, because the X-axis cannot travel to its home position without it up dead in the way. So let's try, let's say it's third time lucky. Let's give it a try. Yeah, that design is a problem. I will mention it to them, because this is getting in the way of this unit here. I think that should be much shorter. Let's try again. Third time lucky, we do see. All the cables were good, actually. What's happening is the X-axis was moving over and it was impacting this. I think, can you see that? Let me move the chat out of the way because it's covering the screen. Yeah, you can. So it's actually impacting this, which actually triggers this part of your to activate your sensor, and it was actually bumping into that, and that's a problem. That was actually getting in the way. So third time lucky, hopefully. Printer guide. Home. Let's see if home works now. Yes. What's stopping Y? There's nothing impacting the Y. Y is going back, but there's nothing to trigger it. There's nothing under the bed to trigger the Y axis. That's interesting. So the Y is there, but there's not been... Did I miss a step? I don't think I did. Let me just double check. So the Y is not terminating and its cable is in place. You are right, it would not be a live stream if everything worked perfectly. I thought, well, I won't say that. I've had a few that actually went flawless. I've done a couple of them and everything went great. But something is not triggering the Y on that. And I don't see anything on the bed. And there's no part here. Maybe you can see. But that's just an adapter. There's no component here as part of the kit that I can see that triggers the Y. So I'm not missing a component. I think the Y connector is on wrong. Let me show you. Close up here. So this is a trigger for the Y, and it does work, but it's not going back to trigger it. Let me try again. Let's see if it works this time. Maybe that piece of plastic was my mistake and I forgot to take it off. I didn't see it in the instructions, but it's possible. You're going for food. Bring some for me, Jerry. 3D printing guide. Auto home. Does it work? It was an I/O problem. The X-axis is getting stuck again. So, okay, let me bring this all the way down. I think it's because it's up too high. I think it's up too high. I had the white thing on. Yeah, that was my mistake. So let's try it with it all the way down here, because it should not home with that there anyway. I think there's a few nuances to this that we need to watch for, that it can never be homed when it's all the way up on the top of X or on Z. Laser guide, auto home. It homes now. Now this should come down and trigger this. This is supposed to be level, I believe. Yeah, I don't like this design. There's a few things in this design are not well thought out. The trigger design for the Z probe is an issue. Yeah, I think so. Because it goes up and it triggers, and that's okay, but it gets in the way of the head moving as well, which is a problem. So it's triggered in now. Triggered, comes back down on Z. Okay, Y moves forward. It comes out. This needs support as well. This actually does need support. I think they should have a bracket built on here that this actually gets clipped into to hold it upright. That's what I would do, and it's the first mod I would probably make to this, is to design a bracket that goes on here to actually mount this and hold this in place. That's getting in the way. That's annoying. Let's see. What was the piece you took off? The piece I took off, and I probably dumped it. Oh, it was a little bit of toothed. Let me see if I can do a close-up of it. It was a little bit of plastic toothed that fit over the belts, and it could have been a home for the beds, for the belts. But my guess is that was getting in the way, and I didn't see it in the instructions, but I'll double check. So now it's actually after homing itself. So let's go back to full screen. So next step, laser pre-scan. So it's showing you the center, so you can center the part. Oh, don't want my hand in there. never planned for a Z-Max homing. Yeah, I never have either. So this is basically showing you the printable area for the laser, which is kind of cool. I think I'm centered. I'm sure that's its home position. Excuse my fashionable glasses. These are not big enough to go over normal glasses, by the way. They're kind of clumsy over glasses. They work, but they're kind of clumsy. And then it says set origin, and I'm going to leave it as it is because I can actually done. Print from SD card. Engraving test. So we have engraving test, FDM dual, FDM single test, and carving test mode. So I'm going to do the engraving test. And there it goes. Let me bring this up closer so you can see what's going on. I'm going to go to close-up cam. I may not be centered, so it may not be on center. If it's not, I'll move in a while. This origin corner of the or center, I'm not sure. Going by that, it might be. I think I'm okay. I think it might be center because the design it's printing is this one, and it's right now doing the EcubMaker, which is in the bottom right of the setup. So I think I'm okay. Actually, I might see if I can. Will this work? This might actually work. There we go. It might get knocked off, we'll see. So you don't need to tape the... No, because there's no impact, there's nothing moving it, and it's not moving fast. The last laser print. How did it look? By laser print you mean on here, on like the test one? So what it's doing right now, it's doing the text on here, the lower left. So it's actually doing it's doing raster engraving from the bottom up, and it's doing the text right now. So raster engraving is going over back and building a pattern and burning it as it goes. Vector engraving is following the pattern outline. And what it's doing right now, as you see in the close-up, in the magnified version there, the close-up, it's actually doing raster engraving, so it's moving side to side. So it's actually doing this, and I think we're pretty okay positioned, and it's burning relatively fast actually. It's not bad. It's a very, very fine beam. Now the nice thing is you don't have to adjust anything because it comes already tuned. So when you do it into the laser mode, it actually automatically sets the height it needs to be, the distance it needs to be from the bed to do laser. Now, if you put thicker material on, you will have to adjust that offset, I'm assuming. And it does give off some smoke. Let me see if I smell much. There's some smoke smell from behind. I hope it doesn't set off my fire extinguishers. It just smells like it's like singed pine wood. It's not bad, but it is burning, so you do have the burning odor. It's similar to the odor I get when I run my CO2 laser, which is sitting over there. But my CO2 laser, when you burn wood, it does give off fumes. The difference is on my CO2 I have an extractor. There's no extractor feature on this, so you need to be in a ventilated area, which I'm not. But let's see how it goes. It's kind of Star Wars-y on camera, yeah, I agree. Let me see without looking. Yeah, there's a smell. You can smell the burn material, and I'm not looking at the laser, but it's and it works fine. The delayed text. Yeah, it takes time. Laser, like a diode laser, is not fast. A CO2 laser, this will be done in 10 minutes. On a diode laser, it could take an hour. How sensitive is such a laser engraver to correct vertical between the laser and the engraved? This is not. There is the ability to tune it. It's in the guide that you can actually focus the laser. But what I would probably do is, knowing the thickness of the material I'm using, I would set the Z, I would increase my Z a little bit, my Z offset a little bit. Or you could probably focus the laser, but setting the Z off, if you know the height of this, the height of the test material, the thickness of it, I would then measure the thickness of my material and take one from the other and then up my Z height to adjust. Unless the beam is coming out of that perfectly straight. Most lasers, the beam comes out in the V shape, so the beam comes out as a V from its lens. So if this happens to be straight, then the height would not matter. You'd have a minimum height, and then anything above that should be good because it's already in a straight beam. But I don't know. Normally it is focused from a V shape down to a point, and then on the other side of the point it actually widens again, like normal light beam, where the light beam comes in and then widens out. So you have a focal point in the middle. Yeah, wait for the smoke alarm. I don't know if it will, but you'll hear it if it does. I can just reset it over here in the corner anyway. So if it goes off and you see me suddenly running, you know why. Let's see what else he said. Oh, that went full screen. I didn't want full screen on my chat. I just want to move it. There you go. I don't think you need to worry about thicker materials when you center it. I checked on him. It checked automatically where the material. It did not check automatically where it was. It did a scan to find out, to show you the print area. I don't think it actually senses. At least I don't believe it senses where the center of the material. I could be wrong. I will double check that. The material is not laying flat, but the variation on what is and is not flat is very, very little anyway, so I wouldn't really worry about that. But for a raster engrave, it's going. Interesting, when the smoke gets to the location where the laser is, we can see I can't see with the glasses on, so if it is, I'm looking at the camera, yeah, you can see the smoke interacting with the beam every now and again, correct. Because the beam is invisible light, but the smoke interacts, the smoke reflects some of that light out. Which is why you have to wear glasses. Not what I answered. I was talking about his comment about the thickness of the material just before you asked. Oh, okay. I didn't see home Ricardo. I don't know what you mean by that. They went down to the bottom to scan, I believe. Well, it went to the top to find the top of Z by triggering this button, and then came back down because it knows the home distance, and it does have Z end stop, so it knows the home and Z as well. So that's what it does. So from there, it raised itself to the correct height it needed for laser burning. So, any other questions on it? So as I mentioned earlier on, its build area that's shown here, that's shown in the documentation, is inaccurate. It's actually 325 by 325 by 350 build area. It says in the Kickstarter is 350 by 300. That is wrong, and I will raise it with them. The maximum temp of when it's doing FDM is 220. So PLA, maybe PLA plus, maybe some low temperature PETGs. HD PLA, no, because it's not high enough temperature. It probably and it won't do ABS or any of those unless you completely revamp the head to your own. So you have to do heavily modded to make that happen. Seems to be doing a decent job on the burn. Which one is it? I don't understand what you mean by Dumb Dove. Oh, the printer name. It is the EcubMaker. I can quickly move this down to. It's here. It's the EcubMaker ToyDIY2 4-in-1 printer. Right, EcubMaker. So the 4-in-1 is FDM, single extrude, single color. It is FDM 2 color. So you have a Y connector in its separate heads. So you can have 2 extruders going into the one print head, It is it is a CNC head, and it has a laser head, which is what we're using. I went with the laser head because there's two other people that I know did the preview of these, and the two of them is Currency Fabrications did one last week, and the week before was Jim from Edutech, and those, so the Edutech and Currency Fabrications already did previews and they did a live build of this machine, and it went well, and they both did FDM printing, and I said, why do FDM printing? I want to do something different. And I did not go with doing the CNC because we'd be screaming into the microphone because you wouldn't hear me because it's really noisy. The swirly traffic cone. Yeah, that's a possibility. To do the traffic cone on this printer, sure, I can do that. I have two other printers I need to test it on too. I've done some rough testing on the traffic cones, and they came out okay. It does need fine tuning on the profile, but they came out okay. PLA Plus, yeah, PLA Plus is fine, but HT PLA will not. I think that needs 225 or higher. Yeah, I've done PLA at temperatures of 190, 195. It'll vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, and even color. Various. I'm just going to stand back here, take out the glasses off because I'm behind the camera, so the light can't hit me. But PLA Plus, I've done temperatures down to 190 with PLA. I've gone up as high as 215 in some PLAs. It's not only the manufacturer, because it depends on what the materials they use in there, the additives, and that changes color, and that change other properties. But it's also if you change the color of a material, that can change the temperature it prints at as well, the optimal temperature. So if you get new PLA, you might get away with using the same temperature all the time, but to get the pristine optimal temperature, you should do temperature towers for all your materials to get the optimal temperature. Let's see. I need more than 50-15 for cooling at this. Okay, well, if you have a Creality, or you should check out Petsfang. If you've been on some of my evening streams, my hangouts, David Petzel actually comes to all my hangouts, and he's the designer, and he goes to Jerry's as well, and he's often on tripods, garage ones also. So 3D printing and painting, tripods, garage, and mine. And he has his own channel. It's David Petsfang. David Petzel, his name is, but he has got a channel. I think it's called Petsfang. And he on Thingiverse, all the Petsfang modification, new cooling systems for printers, he designs all of those, and they're fantastic cooling systems. So if you need better cooling, you should check out his stuff, because he may have an adapter, a cooling system that will work in your printer. You didn't? I didn't do it because I didn't get to it. I have a few printers I need to work on, and I need to fine tune the settings to get a good quality print, and that's the problem. I can show you what I did get out of them, and they were good, but they still need a bit of tweaks. I gave up on temp towers after the first 3 I printed. If they all look the same, it means you're not changing the settings right. You're not changing the settings as it goes up. If you want to find out how to do that in Cura, check my channel. I have a video there on how that is done. But you have to change the temperatures, and you have to check it to make sure you see it change. There isn't a dual fan duct for the Titan extruder yet, sadly. Go check out Petsfang, and if you have a printer and you want something done, if you come out to my hangouts and Dave is there, talk to him. He's very open to working with somebody to design stuff. But he often needs to go out to the manufacturer. Let me stand back here so the laser can't reach me, because it's behind the camera. He often needs to go out to the manufacturer and get the CAD drawings of the print heads, and then design his cooling system for that print head. And that's always an issue. Like, he recently got the ones for the MicroSwiss direct drive. MicroSwiss sent him the CAD drawings for their direct drive system, and he's actually just released a. If you have a MicroSwiss all metal hot end or MicroSwiss direct drive system for any of the Crealities or the NT8 style print heads. He's actually just released a cooling system for those now. It goes onto the Microsys direct drive. So, come chat with him on my Hangouts if you want, and talk to him about it. If you need something, and if he can get the CAD drawings, he can make it work. It's either that or making a lot of measurements to try and make it work. But CAD drawings just make it easier because then he can adapt it to fit on CAD and see the look and feel of it. Okay, I use his pit fan. It isn't enough to prevent curling on corner. Curling on corners is not cooling. Curling on corners is actually heat variation between the print and the surrounding air. Let's say this is your. You can see me in the corner, I believe, right? Let's say this is your first couple of layers on the print bed, and the print bed is hot here, but the air above is cold, right? And if the air is cold and you're printing, what's happening is the material above the print bed is cooling faster than what's on the bed. That cooling, which means the base and the bottom of it is slightly flexible, but you need to heat the bed to make it stick. But above it's cooling. When material cools, it shrinks, it compresses, and that causes this to happen because the upper material cooling pulls it up. You may have a draft in your house. You may have a cold air blowing on it. You may have a window open. Anything like that will create a draft. An open door can create a draft to cool the material too fast, and that will cause the corners of your bed to do this. So it's not a cooling of the material as a problem. Well, it's not cooling as you print is a problem. It's the upper areas of the print cooling too fast that's causing the corners to lift. There's too much of a heat variance between what's on the bed and what's in the upper areas of the print area. That's what's causing it to curl. Let's see. I've watched the temp drop on the LCD. Okay. I've been Gmailing him regularly. The endoscope mount he added to the file was from this was. Okay. I'm not comfortable with you not having the glasses on, my friend. Well, that's why I stepped back and I had the camera blocking me and the laser. I could not see the laser. I have the camera that's mounted here. If I step back at this angle, it's actually between me and the laser, so I'm actually not looking at it, and there's no way I can see the laser where it's burning. So I am separating myself, but I'm not going to leave it off for long. I just do it when I'm back here, and I know there's no visible light coming, or no light coming from the laser towards my eyes. But yeah, I'll keep it on most of the time. So basically what I'm saying, the box in the printer when you are printing, an enclosure will help. That's why ABS is such a problem to print. Not only is the fumes of printing ABS bad for you, but when you print ABS, it has a horrible tendency, because of heat variation, to warp. And by putting it in an enclosure, actually maintains temperature, so there's no drafts or anything like that going hitting the print area, and it doesn't shrink and cause it to lift off the bed. So yes, I wouldn't put a box over it, as I said. And a good enclosure, you can buy enclosures out there that you can see into, so you can observe your print while it's happening, but it stops drafts getting in. And they're not super expensive. They're like tents that go around your printer, and they really work. Some people have indoor grow tents, and you can use those for printers as well. That will work fine. As long as you don't have drafts or cold air hitting it, the air is stable in there, you'll do well. That will eliminate your curling. You could temporarily try it by putting a box over it, but I wouldn't go that route. I'd rather be able to visibly see what's going on inside while it's printing. Well, that's my opinion. That's my preaching done for today. It's up to you what way you want to do. If you want to use a box, to go ahead. Maybe a box with an open top you could surround your printer with to see if it's a draft. Make sure your windows and doors are closed. Make sure you're not by an air conditioning vent that's blowing cold air in on top of your part, because air moving across your part will cause the upper areas of the print to compress. Yeah, the engraving looks really good. I have to admit that. It is a diode laser, right? As long as your design is good, as long as the beam comes out straight and it's focused, you get a good print. And it's very similar. It's not a little darker, actually. So I'd say the settings on this are a little higher than what came in the box as a sample. So it's doing a good job. I can't wait to see what the CNC features of it does. So you have one of these on your way, Rene. Good for you. Or what do you call it? The Dangerous Dane or something? I think you nicknamed yourself earlier on. My print speeds can hit 110 millimeters per second, so the time over in the area is small. Dave admitted that on his stream a while back, and he used to dual fang before switching from Bowden. It helps. Cooling helps. Now, depending on the material, cooling PLA fast helps the layer adhesion. Cooling PETG fast is bad because the layers will not stick. They need time to sit together and settle. Cooling ABS is good, but again, you need to maintain overall ambient temperature. The same goes for ASA and a lot of other materials, higher temperature materials. You need to maintain ambient temperature pretty well, because if you don't, you will get inconsistent cooling, which causes warping and lifting off the bed. Printer placement is also something to consider. As that's kind of what I just touched on. The Insane Dane, that's what it was. The Insane Dane. I knew it was something like that. Okay, sorry, I'm old, and I'm really bad, and I got really bad memory, especially for people's names and so on. So the Insane Dane. Okay, I'll try and remember that. You need to come in to my streams more often, like the Hangouts and so on, and announce yourself as the Insane Dane, and that way then the association of the name will stick. That quality is quite good. Let's see how bad the smell is. 1 second. It's just singed wood. It's not too bad. No fire alarms yet, and we're about a third, maybe 1/4 of the way through the burn, so it's going pretty well. My plan is to only use PLA for printing Lego train tracks. Okay, that'll work. You know, Lego is actually done with ABS, right? It's not PLA, but you could use PLA for whatever you want. But I'm saying ABS is stronger than it. So that's why Lego is done with ABS. It's actually more robust, the same as PETG. PETG is the only stuff where I've had prints lit off the bed when you had bad Z offsets. I generally don't have that, but yeah, that can do it. You don't want PETG to be so much squish on the bed. You want to have it just to lay the material down, so it's not really squashing it down, because it doesn't like that. And you need to have, for PETG, you need to have a release agent. So you need to put down a some people use hairspray. I use PVA glue stick, because you don't. PETG has a tendency to bond to glass, and when it bonds to glass, you won't get it off. And when you do take the part off, you end up breaking up your bed or lifting parts of your bed off. So it's better off to have a release agent down there. Let's see. Like a fireplace smell. It's kind of like a fireplace smell. It's not much smoke. It's more, and it's dissipating pretty well. It'd be better if it was an extractor if you're doing a big area, because it can't print the size of the bed. So, on my Ender 3, I have the TH3D PC build sheets, and everything sticks to it very well. I agree. Their flexible seal is really good too. With PLA, I have zero issues. Yeah, PLA is not that hard. At the same time, the parts are in a tad bit harder to remove. They can be, but you have to let it fully cool. And if something doesn't come off when it's fully cooled and it doesn't come off easy, take whatever bed is on, stick it in the freezer. Right? Glass cools faster than plastic, so glass will cool really fast and actually cause them to pop off. It should anyway in most cases. But with PETG, it may bond and damage the glass. So you have to have that release agent for PETG. Let's see. That's why I got the IDEX printer with the duplicate function for doing multiple parts. Yeah. ASA is better than ABS, if memory serves me. Yeah, ASA is better. Well, it has. You need very high temperatures for ASA, first of all, and it does give off dangerous fumes. So you still need an enclosure. You shouldn't use it without an enclosure. I wouldn't anything other than PLA and PETG. Maybe TPU. I'd print without an enclosure, or without anything else. I wouldn't. I would avoid them. I have Start G code to change the offset for PETG. I use white glue. Yeah, I use the same white glue stick on PEI. I thought you were getting the Star Wars. No Star Wars. But it's kind of like watching Star Wars when you see this thing burning. But it's doing a good job. It's actually quite good. The PVA glue. The PVA glue I use, I go to Staples and I buy the jumbo sticks. That's what I use for mine. I do a lot of PETG printing, but mostly. And for testing a printer, I only use PLA because most people use PLA. But for my own stuff, I use PETG. And I just buy the jumbo glue sticks. They're cheap. They come in a box of 10, I believe, and they're what, 10 or 12, 10 bucks per box of them. Can't go wrong. Cheap, cheerful, and they work. Now, I've used the other one, the purple glue stick, and it didn't work for me. Other people praise it, and I found the parts kept coming off the bed with that glue stick, the PETG. But the cheap stuff from Staples worked fantastic, so I stick with what works for me. On my texture sheet on my Prusa, I don't need the release agent for PETG. I'd be careful. That's all I'd say is be careful. You'd be amazed. You could be fine for the first 10 prints, and then you put on number 11 or you put on number 25, and you can't get it off the bed, and taking it off the bed tears the bed, or breaks the glass. So just be cautious is what I would say. Everyone. Some people can get lucky all the time. You know, you can be lucky most of the time. You can't be lucky all the time. I still need to try TPU someday. Yeah, TPU, you print slow. TPU is best with a direct drive. It's not necessary, but it's best with a direct drive, because TPU tends to flex an awful lot. It's a bit like let's say the cable. When you have a Bowden tube, you're pushing the cable, this material down. As you see when I'm trying to push this, it's bending, right? In direct drive, it's being pulled from down here. So that makes a big difference on flexible materials. Now, I've done flexible material I've done TPU, I've done NinjaFX Cheetah on my Ender 5 Plus, which has got a long Bowden tube like this, and successfully. But I replaced the Bowden tube with the Capricorn XS because it's got a much tighter tolerance, so there's little chance of it bending. And I've done a modification to my extruder, area to feed the material directly through the gears, so there's no chance of the gears picking the material up and getting it wrapped around the extruder gear, which is a big issue with Bowden tubes, Bowden printers, and flexible materials. So I have done it successfully. And the biggest thing about TPU, print slow. If you on any printer, print slow. If you print slow, and you do a couple of test prints and you get a good temperature, it prints at about 230, 235. Just print it slow. Chances are you'll get a good, and don't have surrounding cool air like like some of you have seen in the past. You need to try and keep it controlled temperature. It'll print fine. That's printing nice. Let's see what else is going. Lamy uses Windex as a solvent to spread the PVA. I've never had to do that. I just get the PVA glue stick on the bed and just go cover the area, and to get it off, a wet cloth would wipe it off when you're done. Or if you want to bring it up to your and run it under the sink, if you can take the bed off, run it under the sink. It's PVA glue is water soluble, so I never use Windex. But that's what he does. It works for him. Yeah, I was actually there when he said that. He said it on my stream, actually, I believe. I do need a glue or blue tape on the smooth PEI sheet. Yeah, but for NinjaFlex, but harder TPU, yeah, like Cheetah does not need it. Yeah, well, Cheetah has a shore hardness of 95A, and the higher the shore hardness is, means it's a stiffer. It's flexible, but it's a stiffer material. So 95A is flexible. It's like a thick rubber band, but not too flexible. NinjaFlex, which is a shore hardness of 85A, that's really, really flexible. I mean, very, very, very soft. And now some printers, there's actually material out there right now that's like a silicone that's got a shore hardness of 65 or 65A. That type of stuff, like that's like holding a piece of thread back here and being able to push it. Right, it'll be that long. It's really, really, really soft. So some printers can do it. Even some direct drives will struggle with 65A. Without PVA, the PTG will start. PTG in part makes micro bubbles under the PEI sticker. Never experienced that. I don't use PEI sheets, so I don't know. I generally print TPU and PTG. I print them on glass. PVA glue stick and print it on glass. I'm running a Titan clone direct drive into a micro Swiss hot end. Oh, okay. I have to wash mine. The stick because it's too much thick. Well, there's two ways to do that. If you put in glue stick and you take the part off and you put on too much, my first recommendation is put on the glue stick when the bed is hot at print temperature, 70 degrees. Because when you put on glue stick like that, you can go really fast and leave a very, very light layer of it on, because it melts as it goes, and it works. That actually is better than putting it on cold. Secondly, if you do put it on and you find that it's sticking too well, and always put it on the smooth side of glass, never the textured side. A little one of these utility knife blade. This is 3D printed, but you can buy them. You see the glass scrapers in your hardware store, and a utility knife with a utility knife blade in it on your bed. If it's a smooth side of glass, you can actually scrape off the PVA glue little sheets. It will actually come off really easy. Or you can just wet a cloth, wipe it down. It will actually dissolve the PVA glue. Warm water dissolves faster than cold, but either one will work. Little spray bottle. You don't need to have alcohol to do that. You can just use ordinary water. I'm too impatient with glass. Well, that's your choice. I'm not going to go over. The only beds I don't like is the PVC ones that are really soft and flexible. I hate those. They can be burned by your nozzle. Like when you auto home, if you heat up your bed and then you auto home, while the nozzle is sitting in one spot, it can burn those PVA beds. Glass beds are great. Metal flex sheets are great. I don't like the PVA, the really soft, flexible ones. And I know Corel here are offering those up right now, and a couple of others are doing them. I think they're a bad idea. I've had so many printers go. I've had nozzles burn the bed because I heated it up and I sent it to home and I didn't think about it and I left it sitting there for a moment, and the nozzle's sitting right over the PVA and it melts a hole in it. None of my printers have glass. I think most of my printers have glass. Like this is a glass bed. My Inner 5 is a glass bed. My Soval is a glass bed. My Artist D is not a glass bed. It's a PVC one, and I don't like the PVC, but I use a mirror on it. My A1 is a glass bed. I like glass beds. My Artist D is a flexible steel with a PVC coating on top. But for PLA, it's great. And because the heads park off the bed, it's not a problem. When they park on the bed, like some of them auto home and park right on the corner of the bed, that's where you end up burning the hole in the bed. Happened to me with my longer LK1, and that's glass with a PVC coating. That's a mistake, because when you heat it up and you home it, it's sitting over the bed. It should be off the bed when a nozzle homes. That's my opinion anyway. I think it should be off the bed. So the smell of burning is still there. We're about this far along, so we're about a third of the way along. and it's doing a good job. Can't complain. And when we go, this hopefully will be done before the top of the hour, but I doubt it. But either way, the job so far, the quality so far is good, I think. I don't see any issues with the laser side of things. I have 3 divots on my old quality flex mat because of Marlin Linear Advanced. Okay, I have 3 divots on my old Creality flex mat because of the Marlin Linear Advanced G-code generator. Turn the Z-axis off with a hot nozzle. Yes, that's why I hate the PVC beds. All mine have the removable flex spring sheets with smooth PI and textured PI on the other side. Yeah, I like those with the flex. As long as you have a good flat surface, the flex seal is great. Or ABL, because if you have the ABL where it actually builds a mesh to the bed, even if there's contours on the bed, the ABL will adjust for those on a flex sheet. My start code heats the bed, homes while the nozzle heats, then sits at 210 to finish heating before. Okay. Yeah, it actually looks really good in person as well, Curmudgeon. It actually looks quite good. It actually does look. It is darker if you do a comparison. So you put it in here. Not interfering. No, I can't get it in. Maybe you can fit it over here. It is darker in comparison. So I don't know if this was laser burned. It feels like it was. This feels like it was laser burned. My guess is they did a faster feed rate, which intensity of the laser and speed and feed rate is what governs the laser. Now, the one thing about the laser I will say is good is it's got a cooling fan in front. So as the laser moves, this is actually cooling the laser unit itself, so it doesn't burn out. But eventually they will die. Diodes have a lifespan, and the lower the settings you have it on, the longer it will last. As I said, my CO2 laser, I never run anything close to 100%. I think the highest I've gone was 20% or 30%, and that's for I only go a little bit above that, maybe 35% of power, or 40% if I'm doing cutting on it, because it can cut. This cannot cut, unless maybe you're talking about paper. Maybe it can cut paper. Let's see. Yeah, all my printers have ABL. I've only got two printers, now 3 printers that do ABL. All the rest of mine are all manual. I like manual leveling. I get a good job. I do well manual leveling, so I don't have a problem there. My X entry doesn't drop now like it used to. Why was it dropping in the past? And is it because of the Z screws that need to be? You need to have the spring tensioners on it for backlash, because a lot of times when your Z drops on its own, if you replace the Z brass mountings for the Z screws, it's on the back here, with ones that actually have a 2-piece with a spring in them. The spring actually is anti-backlash, but it also, because it's putting tension on the threads in both directions, it stops the bed from dropping when you disengage the Z zippers. You're too lazy to manually level the bed. Oh, well, yeah, okay. Well, I generally find I don't have to level every print. I level every couple of prints. So, and only if I actually move stuff and jostle stuff do I have to level. I've done up to 10 prints without having to re-level. Like when I was doing all of the headbands for the face shields for COVID, I was doing probably 10, 15, 20 prints at a time without ever touching leveling. And so I'd stop it every now and again to check stuff, and that's it. Basically I'd print. When it was done, pop the parts off, hit print again. That's all I was doing over and over and over again. The Edutech has a video on calibrating power versus speed. For the laser, yes. Yeah, the darker you want to make it, the slower you want to go, and you don't want to pump in too much power to the laser because you'll end up burning it out. So you drop it down and print slower if you want it dark, or if you want it lighter colored, you keep it low but you increase your speed. You can is the way you should do it. What are the different materials you can use on a laser? Anything that's soft. You can't use metals. You can't use. You can do woods. Like this is a kind of heavy cardboard, but you can do like pine wood. You could do heavier, harder woods, but harder woods means you'll have to go slower or more power. I would probably do more than one pass if you can. I would probably stick my part down so it never moves and do more than one pass is what I would probably do. But test it out. I haven't tested it how well it does on multiple passes, if it always comes back to the exact same spot. But if it does, then multiple passes is probably a way to do it. I've done that a few times on my CO2 laser as well. It will do leathers. Again, you'll have to get a test piece and see how well it does. And a leather material, I would tape it down. It would do plastics. It's more melting plastic than actually burning anything into them, but it would work. It would leave marking. So you'd go low settings, and you go over it fast. It would probably do. It will not do aluminum. It will not do anything on glass. Even though people claim they can do it on glass, basically what you do is fracturing the surface of the glass. It's not a good idea. It will not do. I don't think it has the power to do stone. You might want to investigate that option. But wherever you do any of this, make sure it's ventilated, because burning a bit of card, like a bit of paper, like this is the card is just heavy paper, is one thing. Burning leather smells when it burns, right? Because it's basically skin. It's the hide, it's flesh. Burning, trying to do it on stone, I don't think it would do a good job in that. Now, you might do a good job is if you get tiles, and on a tile, spray paint the tile. Now, you have to be well ventilated for this, because you're going to vaporize the paint off it. So you can actually spray paint, let's say, a green color on a tile, let it go dry, let it dry, go fully dry. Then spray a black color on the tile and let it fully dry. And then see if the laser can actually burn through the black and leave the green behind. Those are options. I don't know if this has the power to do that. It may or may not. I don't know how good a job it will do. I've done that on my CO2 laser. It works fine. I have very, very low power. On this, it might do it, but you may have to just go a little bit slower. But is it possible? I would say yes, but do not do it indoors. Move this outside where there's plenty of ventilation. And any laser, make sure there's plenty of ventilation or a very good throughput extractor, like I have on my other laser, a higher laser, because you do not want to do those fumes coming into your lungs or in the house. Move it to your garage, do it there. If you have a workshop with your backyard, move it out there and do that. But are these possible? Quite possibly, yes. I said I haven't tried a tile option on this, but I did on my other laser. I have done slate on the other machine, but it's a way more high power. It's a 40 watt CO2 laser, which got way higher burning and engraving features and power than this does. Let's see here. What are the different materials? Okay, I'll cover that one. It's kind of like calibrating for lithophane, but not. No. You must think if you get a match, or no, let's say we all did it as kids. You get a magnifying glass and you out in the sun and you burn a piece of paper with a magnifying glass. Most kids do it, right? Now, sometimes you have to sit there and hold it, and you get a very fine point, but you have to hold it there a little for thicker paper, right? And the amount of time you have to hold it there will be based on the intensity of the sun, of the light that's captured. Like if it's slightly cloudy, you have to hold it there longer, like if it's because sunlight comes through. But if it's a very bright, hot summer's day with clear skies, it doesn't take as long. It's the same thing here. So the amount of intensity of the beam and the speed will vary based on the outcome. So low intensity, you'll have to spend more time on it because like a lower laser power, because it's going to take longer to burn the material. And some materials just will not burn because there's not enough energy created by the laser to do so. But on a very high intensity laser beam, you can actually go over something really fast. Like this on my other laser would be done in 5 minutes, 10 minutes max. This has been running for over an hour already, and we're approaching 50%, my guess. So it takes it's all about energy and speed. If you put enough energy into something, you can move and do it faster. If you don't, if the energy that's being pumped out is not high enough, then you have to take your time to get there slower. Let's see. it's kind of covered that as well. That's why I have those divots. I think I had an eccentric loop. Okay. I only on G29 when I see first layer issues. Well, you just stop the job. I don't do it. My OCD prevents me from allowing multiple prints off one leveling. Oh well, okay. We all have our nuances. You need CO2 for metal etching. Actually, no. CO2 doesn't really etch metal. It's not popular. To really engrave metal, you need a laser, a fiber optic laser. You can do CO2 is great for. Now, can you make? There is a way of treating the metal to use a CO2. So you can. There's a coating you can put on the metal, and it leaves a little discoloration. Is basically all it's leaving behind. You can't really etch metal on the CO2 unless even a 100-watt CO2 laser would struggle to leave any real marks on the metals. So you need a fiber optic laser to actually really do metals. Now, CO2 will do acrylic, it'll cut acrylic, it will etch acrylic, it'll do woods, it'll do lots of materials, but metals are really outside of its scope. Yes, the Edgetech also was referencing tiles. Yeah, I think I saw that. I can't, or I heard it be mentioned or something. The little comparison works for my for your empty head. I will not pass comment on whether your head is empty or not. I refuse to go down there. I'll get myself in trouble because then I'll be referencing myself as well. So. Any other questions? So I will update the link for the stream to include a link to the Kickstarter for this printer. It's doing a good job with the laser. I like what it's done. The CNC I will test it, but to do the CNC I have to take this bed off and put on this steel plate for the CNC. There's various holes in this bed for holding the clamp downs, which are here with thumb screws to hold it down, to hold your material on it. So I will do CNC. I won't do it today. I didn't do it because it's just going to be too noisy. And the room's starting to smell like I am having a campfire down here. So you smell the wood burning smell. It's actually, I like the smell. Okay, not etching the metal directly. I was thinking about anodize. Yes, if you have anodized, that's different because the metal has a coating on it, and the laser will burn the coating off. That it will do. And you can do, if you can get an adapter, a tumbler adapter, so it actually will rotate the part. And you take your y-axis and plug it into this instead, and so the movement on y is actually done as a rotation movement instead of a linear movement. And you can actually make those, or you can buy them, and you can actually do round objects on CO2 lasers in the anodized material like that. So you get the tumblers that are different colors. You can actually burn off the coloring on it, like black or whatever, or green or red or whatever. You can burn that off in a CO2 laser and end up etching out a design on the tumbler. That is possible, yes. I have no idea what you're talking about, chicken. I'm sorry. Well, I don't know what you're talking about, I'll come on. So, Sal, Neo from Matrix, who's, oh, you're talking about the glasses? Yeah, well, we're running a laser, you need to be safe. Never run a laser without safety glasses on. I might step back here now and again where I know that the laser is out of sight because it's been blocked by a camera, and I might remove them, but generally I won't. And I have a separate camera watching up close, so there's no need for me to do that because everyone can observe on the screen how it's doing during its burn. And I think Sal, I think you're a recent joiner, so this is what it's burning. So this is a sample that came with it. And what it's burning that's a sample file for the laser, and it's doing a really good job from what I see, and what you see as well. It looks really, really good. If you want to see a close-up of, I can switch it to main camera, and you can see that's what it looks like. So it's doing a good job of it, I think. I'm going to come back off me and go back over to the laser because everybody wants to watch the Star Wars show as the laser burns. And if you those who have just joined, you're calling me a chicken for not commenting on my empty head. I don't know you well enough to say if whether or not your head is empty. So, it's not a chicken doing that. I'm reserving judgment because I don't know you any better. I see you're on my streams all the time, but like if we are hanging out on a regular basis, we are friends. It's different. But I can't judge someone based on their comments on my YouTube or my Facebook live streams and my. That's just bad karma doing that because it comes back to bite you at some point. 24-bit. What are you getting at, Renee? What's 24-bit? What are you referencing? Oh, sorry. Some of the insane expensive industrial metal lasers can make 24 colors in. I've never seen a laser put color, because a laser is evaporating. It's destroying material. I don't know how we can put color on a material if it's evaporating it, which is basically what a laser does. By etching, you're burning or evaporating. At a fiber optic laser, you're evaporating material. So I don't know how that could actually place color. If you have a reference to that and you've seen that happening, push the link in and I'll go look at it. But that'd be interesting. Or ping me on Facebook. You know me. You have me on Facebook. And ping me the link on Facebook, and I'd like to look at that. But I've never seen laser add color. It actually is a subtractive substance process by vaporizing the metal to leave behind empty space, or just like not an arc welder, a plasma cutter is. It actually vaporizes the material where it cuts. You can't offend me unless you badmouth my family. Well, I never will do that, so I won't badmouth you either, because you're part of your family. How about that? I know may have asked in a prior scene, but what are the capabilities of a 60-watt CO2? 60-watt CO2 will actually cut thicker material. Like the 40-watt will do 1/8 inch or 3 millimeter, and it will also do 5 millimeter material, but slowly. If you want to go thicker materials, a 60-watt, 80-watt, 100-watt, the more wattage you give it, the more material it can burn at a faster rate. But again, it's about outputting power and speed. You could eventually burn through anything if you output power and you sit in one spot, but any of the material around it is going to just catch fire from the heat that's generated, right? So it's about vaporizing or burning fast, but not spending too much time there to actually cause the surrounding material to burn, is what it comes down to. Let's see. I know. Okay, it's encapsulated with gases, etc., with the lasers on the metal. Well, send me the link, as I said, on Facebook. I want to see how it's done. I can see by varying the temperature, the color will change, and stopping and cooling it, heating it to a certain temperature, because metals do take on color hues based on temperature. But yeah, send me the link and let me know. I look into it. One of the Germaniers setting up a machine at a previous job told it could be done. Well, as I said, if you can find it, a video on that on YouTube somewhere, send it on to me. I'd like to look at it. I'm back 200 later, listening from the kitchen. Well, you're always welcome, Jerry. We're just still laser burning. We're about 50% of the way through it, and it's doing a good job. Give me 1 second. Let me get something that I've done on a CO2 laser. So these are some tests I've been doing on some CO2. So a CO2 can, let me go back to the tool moment to me. A CO2 can burn, make a design like this. very, very fast. I mean, at 250 millimeters a second, it moves really fast. Now, if you spend too much time on something, it'll end up burning. And this side broke off, but it'll actually end up creating a big burn on it. So the amount of power versus the speed is what dictates the output. Now, you can also do like a CO2 laser, and this will not do that, but because this actually a CO2 laser burns beneath the surface. You can actually feel, if you listen closely, it's actually indented, vaporized the material. So a CO2 laser will actually do some tests like that I've been playing with, and it will also do stuff like images like these. These are just stock images I was playing with. Now, if you have it on too long, it will actually burn deep into the material. So it's about speed and power. If you have it too high power, or moving too slow, it will actually burn deep into the material. That's very deep. So you can do a lot. So this will only singe the surface. That's all it's designed for. It will not go deep. If you want to do deep engraving, you need to go with a CNC without the blackening effect. Then you go CNC. I have a small desktop CNC there as well, a 3018, and you can get some nice work done with a CNC. I think I have. Do I have it? No, it's in the other room. Let me get that as well. So a CNC, you can engrave and do something like this. See that? That's deep. That's 4 or 5 millimeters. It's 5 millimeters deep. So I did that for the Mars rover landing. That's the logo, the NASA logo for the Mars Perseverance rover. So depending on what you're looking for, there's different machines to do it. This might be able to do some of that. I don't know how well it will do it. Let's see. There's a 4 or 5 laser thing. I'm impressed with the flash tube. I can adjust the power quickly on the CO2. You can if you have the right board. You need to have a mini gerbil board, and it will vary the laser as it moves. But you have to but you need to have a board that can be controlled in that way. Mine has a stock board, which is a cheap stock board, and it can't do the variation. So what I do is I raster engrave. So I take the image in and I pixelate the image. So when I run it through the laser to print it, it actually burns spots, and it's based on speed and the size of the spots, and then that gives you the image. The cool part about CNC thing that you can fill in the carving with paint and then vary. You can, yes, you can do that. You can paint it. You can also do what's called V carving. V carving is. Let me see if I have a V carving. You can also do a thing called V carving. So you can get V-shaped bits. This is a 90-degree bit. It's in the bag. Let me take it out. So this is a 90-degree bit, right? And what you can do with this in wood is you can do some nice things. You come in, you can start kind of deep, and then as it comes to the end of something, you can taper it up, so it looks wide and then it actually narrows out on your print. Now with V carving, you can do two versions of it. You can actually just cut it out on wood in one part, and in the other part of it, you can actually do the opposite. You actually take away the rest of the material, and whatever you cut out in the last one, you leave in on this one. And by doing so, you can actually merge the two pieces together and glue them together, and then sawed off and sand it. You get what's called V carve inlay, and you can do that in a CNC. You cannot do. I can do that in one of those small desktop CNCs like the 3018 routers and stuff. You can do that type of stuff, or if you want to go bigger for a larger area, you can go. But you can do a lot of stuff like that with CNC that you can't do with other materials. Or like you can cut out areas and whatever you leave behind, you can 3D print apart and stick that into the spot as well. So there are a lot of options about what you can do, but again, there are machines who are dedicated to doing those tasks, and it's a good idea to use those machines because they do it faster because they're dedicated for that task. Yeah, try and make sure you get one with a gerbil board, the gerbil board, the GRBL, and if not, if you don't have a GRBL board, invest in one. I haven't done it because it's working fine for what I use it for. But if you want to vary the laser beam and remote control off computer, I control my CNC or my CO2 with a Raspberry Pi. I run K40 Whisper on a Raspberry Pi, 4 gig Raspberry, 8 gig Raspberry Pi, and it does fine. It takes a while to process the image, but once it does it, it controls the printer fine. The laser, great. V-carving is where you invert the carving input. Correct. Yeah, which as you kind of described, you create one and the other is a negative, and they go together. Many chopping board makers do that. Yes, they do. A lot of people who do engraving and chopping, they either V-carve stuff, which is not a good idea on a chopping board unless you are doing an inlay, because the inlay actually makes it a flat surface again. But and normally you do a hardwood and a softwood, and that's not always good too, because the knife will go through the softwood faster and it may chip it out. It might be better off on the chopping board to laser engrave the surface on it, or laser engrave the back of it with the image so they actually use the other surface. It depends if it's actually going to be practically used or just display. So, okay, so if you ever need to do this, I need this at least a 40 CO2 in a small table size. If you're doing burning like this and you want to do it faster, you want to do it with a laser. If you want to gouge out part of your material, like in a subtractive process on woods and so on, then yeah, CNC is the right way to go because it's designed for that. You just need to learn how to create a toolpath in something like Fusion 360. It's quite easy, but to use a CAM feature in Fusion 360 to create your toolpath. And then you do a rough cut, you do a medium cut, depending on what you're doing, and you might do a rough cut and a fine cut, depending on it all depends on your model and what you're trying to carve out. But you can do the various toolpaths and you change a bit, and then redo it again with the second bit to fine tune your print or your cut. Like that was done a rough cut with a flat end mill to do the large material removal, and then the fine tuning and the shapes on the sides and so on was all done with a really small 60-degree V-carve bit. Let's see. Can Raspberry Pi control like for consistency with my printing? Well, I use the Pi sometimes. I use AstroPrinter on some of the printing. I use it for my CO2 laser, definitely, because I just upload a file there that I prep, and it does it creates the paths on the software in K40 Whisper, and then runs does my print for me. It means I don't have to have a computer stuck to it all the time. The same goes for my CNC. I haven't put my CNC on a Raspberry Pi, but I probably will, so I can control it remotely. But my CNC has a hand controller where I can plug in the G-code file, the tap file, in an SD card, and then the hand controller will actually run the job. So I don't need an external computer. But for my CO2, I do need a computer connected to it. Excuse me. But with the Pi connected, I can bypass that. And the Pi becomes my computer to keep the print. If my LinkedIn plasma cutter could be married to a CNC, CNC get into the aspect as well. Well, if you want to do subtractive, you use a CNC for subtractive on metals anyway. A plasma cutter is only for cutting through material, and that's it. It will not shape. A plasma cutter will actually cut all the way through material and do a line on it. It will not do variation on surfaces and so on. A CNC mill is what you need for that. You gave me the links on Facebook. Good. I'll check it out. Yeah, I'd like to see what it is, and how that all works. It's an interesting idea. I could see adding additives to different areas, and the laser comes over and then it bonds that into the steel and it changes color. But the metal, the laser itself, I don't see how it's on its own, without some process involved, can actually color the metal. But okay, I'll check it out. So we're going 3 hours since 11 o'clock, and it's now 2. And so, do you want to hang around until the end, or what do you want to do, guys? It's doing a good job. There's no doubt. You see it yourself. I'll go back to the view. It's doing a really good job. We're about this. We have about this much to go still. So it's going to take a while. So what do you want to do? I carry, but all CNC plasma will make nice cuts. Oh yeah, of course, it's machine controlled, so it's going to be very precise and clean. I'm guessing a very good way to laser engrave photos is to make the photo into grayscale, correct, and then play with it. You print a grayscale, you play it to contrast, you need to pixelate it, you need to pixelate it. What's called, I think it's called dithering, because you don't want the laser constantly burning as it moves, because it's going to burn a straight line. You want the laser going on and off and burning spots. Even if it's going on and off very, very fast, you need it going on and off and burning, which is what I did in the samples I showed you. And that's basically what this is doing here. It's called raster engraving. You see the laser comes on and off and only burns in certain areas, and it moves fast and then spends a little bit more time when it's burning. So that's basically what you're going to be doing on a CO2 laser. It's the same thing, but it moves faster because the output is higher energy, so it actually goes over and back really, really fast. Rene is here till the end of the engraving, and it is late in your evening, or it's not actually. It's late afternoon, isn't it? Your time, or no, early evening. It's early evening. You want me to do a 2-color benchy right now? I don't have a 2-color benchy, and it will be here until midnight. If you want to do a 2-color benchy on top of this, dithering. Yeah, I think it is called dithering. Is the right term. So you need to dither the image, and that's basically what's happening here. You turn it into an image into a series of dots, or if you want, then that's if you want to do dither engraving, burning, and if you want to do lines, that's called vectoring engraving, where you follow the line, and that would be line art. You vector engrave on is how it works. Chris, I asked him to make the swirly traffic cone. I have to slice it yet. I'd have to do it, and I won't start it now because we'll be here for hours. The traffic cone takes about 2 hours to print, roughly, and that's an estimate. And I'm happy to stay here all day long, but some of us have to eat, and but I will show the results though. It's a new sprint. Okay. I will show more. We can stay until this engraving is done if you wish to. I'm fine with that, but it's probably another, at this rate, I'm guessing another hour and a half, 2 hours. And that's a wild guess. But if you want to stick around, we can do so. But if you want to go about your lives, and I will post the final result up on, and I will kick off an FDM print today, and to keep Rene and Chris happy, I will actually do a 2-color. I'll see what 2-color the one they have. I have a feeling their 2-color is a 2-color fill. That's about a 12-hour print, 10 to 12-hour print. If it is, I might just go and get and slice my own and install the their own EcubMaker software on my computer, and run and keep Rene happy and slice a cone of some form. Yes, newsprint does use dither dots, correct. Let's see, call flight time we're doing. yeah, so this is going okay. I'm happy with it. If the CNC, I'm guessing, is going to be slow like this as well. But in the next, throughout today, I will do some testing. I may actually do the CNC one next when we're not screen, because we won't hear each other if I do CNC over here on the stream, because it'll just be so loud. The CNC head is this one. Let's see what's inside. So your CNC head is here, and it comes with a really fine bit. But let me check something. Let me check something with this. I want to see this. I think this is a 3 point. It's a the shaft of this. It's a 3.175 shaft. So I have plenty of bits that would actually fit this. So this is, even though this is so fine for the test one, it probably requires it. But I can then explore the option of using some of the larger bits that I have. It comes with a. I'd like to know how it. We have to investigate how it changes, because I don't see a way of. Locking the print head to remove the bit. It is a chuck of some form, but I don't see a flat surface to lock the tool head to release the print. I'll look into how it's done, but we will. This is a CNC head, and I will look at doing the CNC, which will probably be faster than doing a 3D print, and then I will then go on and add a 3D print as well to the. I'll do all of the test parts that come with it, and there's only one per device is what's on the SD card. And then we have over here, I have the FDM on. This is the dual FDM. Let's look at that, because a single FDM is the same as all FDM printers. So it's dual. Let's go to full screen here. So it's got two in. So your boarding tubes go in here, and you have your filament feed, and it's got a single, looks like an MK8 style nozzle. Swirly traffic cone. Everybody wants swirly traffic cones. Okay, yes, exactly. Let's see. One of these days I'll jump on one of your streams and we'll see how I mesh with mine. You're always welcome to jump on the streams. Anybody who comes to my hangouts, I hold hangouts every Wednesday. The only exception to that is on a Wednesday if my son's in a swim team. So on a Wednesday, if he has a swim, I will I'll go to that, obviously, if I can. It's kind of hard with COVID. Sometimes they only allow one parent in right now. But if I have something else going on, which is rare, I normally do a hangout on 7 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays, and anybody and everybody is welcome to come join out. I can have up to 10 people on the stream, so if you want to come hang out, join the stream, you're always welcome. Some of you have been on there chatting with us, but you actually never come on camera and joined in. So, but you are all welcome. It's kind of late for the guys in Europe, so I have a day job, so I can't be streaming during the day. But I've been more than happy to have any of you on the stream at any time. Talk about what you have, talk about what you do. It's all about exploring and sharing ideas. Jerry from 3D Printing and Painting is often on there. Tripod's Garage he often joins. Dave Petzel is regularly on. Sometimes Loyal Moses jumps in and says hi on chat, not on video, but on chat. And because of the Chinese New Year, I used to have every Thursday interviews with Chinese companies, the printer manufacturers and so on. I haven't been doing them because they're just after getting back from Chinese New Year. I'm going to start lining up more. I may do them Thursday. I may actually move them to earlier in the week. We'll see. Maybe even a Friday evening. I'll see. Because I get some conflicts sometimes on Thursdays. But I will figure it out, and I'll start doing more rather than just hangouts and then the unboxings. I'll try and do the interviews, because the The interviews allows you to get to know these companies and the people behind the scenes. Let's see. Yeah, that's right. I should have said about the dot size. Okay. And yeah, people have to work around kids' bedtime. My kids are older. My youngest is 14, so 1 p.m. Central European Time. What's 1 p.m. Central European Time? 1 a.m. Central European Time. Yes, it would be. So if you're, unless you're a night owl in Europe and you're up till all hours, some of those don't work. But they are available. They are out there. You can go watch them after the fact on YouTube. I always post them out there. So you're welcome to come. And please, those of you who are out there, like, subscribe, click, those thumbs up really help. Ding that bell to get reminded when I do more, and please subscribe. Helps promote the channel, but the thumbs up actually help a lot in the review, the rankings on YouTube. They actually monitor those, and the more thumbs up you get, they actually promote you higher and higher in search results. So, any other questions, or do you want to stick around, or do you want to call it a day? What do you want to do, guys? Let me know. I'm just going to do this. I don't need that anymore. If you want to stick out, I can wait till this is done. I'm more than happy to do so. But it's about another hour and a half, 2 hours, what I'm guessing. We still haven't reached the halfway mark here. We're still just below this halfway mark. We're just approaching it now, so my guess is a long wait. It's slow. Because it's a diode laser and it's a low power, you're going to expect that. Any input? Anyone want to stay around? Anybody wants to wait 2 hours for this to happen? You're here for the next 30 or so. Okay. That's fine. I'll stick around. Right now we have 13 people on. But I've had up to 77 people on watching the stream, which is fantastic. But 13 people who are on right now, which is good. You want me to keep talking? Well, I'm Irish. There's no stopping me talking. But it'd be good if we have other topics. While we're waiting for this to burn, let's talk a little bit about the safety of lasers. Okay. First of all, they're even like I carry a laser with me, a green laser. Okay, shine it behind me if you see it. I carry it for astronomy. Even these are bad for these will damage your eyes. The red lasers, the red pointer lasers you use, they're bad for your eyes. They'll really mess up your eyes as well. So you have errands run, so go get those done. If I'm still here, I'm still here. If I'm not, you can always check on the recording and catch up. Let's see here. Could you tell about the different types of nozzle thickness and print speeds? Oh, okay, that's an interesting topic. The one limitation you have, nozzle size. You can have a nozzle size just slightly over half the thickness of your material, and there's a reason why I say that. Right? So you need, because if the nozzle size is bigger than the thickness of your material is 1.75. You have a 2 millimeter nozzle, nothing's going to melt because it's not going to contact metal. If you can have up to a 1 millimeter nozzle on a 1.75 printer, no problem. But what you're going to run into is it's going to take time to melt that plastic. So your heater block. Let me see if I have one lying around here. I don't. I thought I had one, a heater block there. So I can simulate. Normally a heater block is shaped like this, with your material going through it and a nozzle attached underneath. And as it goes through the heater block, and it starts to melt when it goes through the heater block. And by the time it hits the nozzle, it's already melted, and in the nozzle, and then it's pushed out. Now, there's only so much you can melt in this area, right? There's only so much you can melt in the amount of time it takes for the material to flow through. So, if you're printing fast, right, you have to melt a lot of material to get it to come out fast. Now, when you increase the nozzle diameter from a 0.4 to a 0.6 or a 0.8 or a 1 millimeter, what's happening is you're trying to, you still have to melt that material at the same rate. So you have to slow down your print speed so it comes out melt it. Otherwise, you will not melt the material fast enough. Now, there's a way to fix that, and some printers out there have them, and the Mosquito has it, and so on. You take your heater block and you turn it on its side, and your heater cartridge is the length of your heater block. What's happening now is the material has a lot more time to melt before it reaches the nozzle. So when it comes out the other side, so there's a lot more molten material in there. At that rate, when you do that, you can actually push more material out because it's already melted, so you can actually move faster. This way, you can only move so fast before the melted material is gone, and you'll end up printing nothing because it's not coming out of the nozzle, it's not hot enough. But by doing this and heating it in this manner, like says some of the Mosquitoes and so on, and the volcanoes have them, it melts material faster. So as the material comes through, it starts melting earlier, and then by the time it reaches the nozzle, there's actually there's more molten material at the end waiting to be extruded, and that allows you the head to move faster. So you can print any speed if you can melt material fast enough. The problem you're going to run into is melting the material fast enough. There's a few ways to cheat that. If you do not have something like a volcano hot end, and you have the standard heater block, which is like this, what you can do is you can increase the temperature here, but there is still a limitation, because you can only still, if you say you normally print at 200 degrees, and you increase it to 230 or 240, you will melt material faster and you can print a little bit faster. But you also run into the risk of not being printing too fast, that material doesn't come out fast enough, or you run into the issue of if you're not printing fast enough for the amount of material at the higher temperature, you'll end up burning the material in the hot end, inside the heater block and in the nozzle. And if you burn the material, that creates clogs. So it's a balance. You have to, and it's practice. It's all about practice. You can print faster with a larger nozzle. You can print faster. Let's say a 0.8. You can print really fast with a 0.8, or if you have a volcano. But if you don't have something like a volcano, you can up the temperature. It'll help you, but you're still going to run into a limitation about how much material can be printed at any one time. So it's how much can I melt in here and push out through my nozzle and keep that pool of material constantly going. That's the balance. Hey non-fam, how are you? So let's see, I want to go back, and I think I missed a few here. Now I'm here for the 30th, then heading home. Okay. Let's see. You can print. Okay. You can print with a 1.8mm nozzle. He has drilled a special case. 1.8mm nozzle with a 1.75. I question how he's printing how he's melting that material. Sorry, I do. If the nozzle and the chamber that the nozzle is going through is wider than the material, it's going to be harder to melt that material, because when you have contact with heat, it actually melts better than it does with an air gap, because heat doesn't travel across the air very well. The other thing about it is, if you're using a 1.8mm nozzle and a 3mm filament, yeah, no problem, because again, you have where it's touching the surface and melting. But with a 1.75, I'm not sure. I've never tried that, but it'd be interesting to see it. The super volcano is like that. Okay, my hot end can run about 14 to 15 millimeters cubed. That defines the line layer. Yes. So what about print quality? I guess it's solely about the thickness of the size. No. Well, yes and no. The thickness of your layers is defined by the thickness of your nozzle, the opening of your nozzle. You normally should print between half and 2/3 of your nozzle size. So each layer should be. So if you're doing a 0.4 nozzle, you can do a 0.3, 0.2, 0.1 layer heights or whatever. If you're doing a 0.8, you can print up to a 0.6 layer height, because okay, that's 3/4 of it, okay, or close enough to it. Maybe a little bit over 0.6. What will that give you? Layer lines, and there's nothing you can do about it. The finer the layers, the thinner the layers, like a 0.1mm layer, in a good printer, you'll almost never see any surface detail. It'll look almost perfectly smooth. When you go up to larger nozzle size, your layers have to be thicker in most cases. And if the layers are thicker, because the idea of going to thicker layers in a bigger nozzle is to print layers faster, bigger layers, and to print them faster. And that does lose definition on the sides, and you get clearly visible layer lines, and they'll stand out. My last mentioning speed around 230 degrees. You can get away with that as long as you're pumping enough material and the temperature's high enough, but you need to be careful about burning the material. Sometimes normally smaller diameter nozzle plus small layer height will yield better print quality. Well, yes, but then when you go down too small, you have to slow down your print again, because when layers go down, they stick together. Now, if you're doing something like that, do the inner walls first and work your way out. The reason why I say that is, if you're doing the outer wall first and you lay it down, right, and it's got nothing to stick to hold it there, so there's a chance it could fall, depending on the print speed. So if you do the inner walls first, I don't care how much it moves. And as I build out my layers, layer by layer, when I lay down my final outer wall, I slow it down. I always do my outer walls slower than my inner walls. And the reason why is, I want that detail to be maintained. So I don't care about my inner walls having ringing or whatever. Who cares about those? If the outer wall is laid out slower, I always that way then you get a finer detail on the outside. I'd love to go back last year on Twitter to find his post. Okay, a 0.32 max for a 0.4 nozzle. Typically there is a special cases. Yeah, I wouldn't go. Yeah, you need to have a little bit of squish. You need to have a little bit of squish. So that's why you can't go. You should not go over the side 2/3, because you need a little bit of squish. Like PETG, you lay PETG down with very little squish at all. When I print the Sauron, I want to print thin as possible as I can. With this printer and the Artist DI-Dex, is it possible to print a 0.1 millimeter layer? Yes, they do 0.1s. Yes, you can do a 0.1, no problem with all these printers. This one I haven't tried it yet. I know the Artist D does. I know most printers, they'll do a 0.1 or they'll do a 0.11 or something like that, but it's very close to what you're looking at. That's very fine detail. I believe the rule of thumb with layering is 80%. Yeah, I normally err to the side of caution and say 75, but 75, 80, yes, it would be about that. Depending on the material, some materials you need to get a little bit of squish between the layers to make them bond. So it will vary a little bit per material as well. Not mentioning 75%, but the numbers would calculate to 75. Okay, but yeah, I wouldn't go to. I would say at most 3/4 would be the outside. I wouldn't go more than that in most cases. Is it possible to print thinner than 0.1 millimeter? You can configure your slicer to do that. I don't see a reason why you'd want to, because that's really fine. And it would all depend on your stepper motors for your Z heights. You must remember your stepper motor has is normally a point. Your stepper motors will normally do 0.18 of it per step. You can get you can get them finer, or 1.8. Sorry. So you can get finer stepper motors, and it would all be dictated on the amount of steps your stepper motors know. A stepper motor, let's say it's per degrees of rotation, right? So a 1.8 stepper motor takes a 360 degree, and the number of steps it has divided out is 1.8 arcs per step. You can get 0.9 stepper motors out there. The 0.9 actually means each step is actually half what most normal steppers are. Now, are there advantages and disadvantages to them? Yes, there are. But a 1.8 can do a 0.9 step, but what it does is, the way it moves from step to step to get a 1.8 arc of a rotation of the stepper motor. If you want to get finer detail than that, it activates 2 points on that in the stepper motor. So stepper motor 0.1 and 0.2 are turned on, so the stepper motor is actually pulled between them. But it's never exactly 50-50 between the 2 points. It's like halfway, it's close to one and it's the other always, right? So a 0.9 means it always hits the halfway step, because there is twice as many step points in a single rotation on that motor. So what dictates the fineness of your steps will be dictated by how fine your stepper motor can rotate. So if you have a 0.9, you can do half steps on a 0.9, which actually gets you to 4.5 arcs per rotation, right? Or degrees, 4.9, 0.45, sorry, of an arc, or of a degree for each step. So it's all under the fine tuning of how fine can your stepper motor rotate. That will dictate will actually dictate your limitation in your steps. Oh, I think CNC Kitchen did a video recently on flow rates and speeds and can affect the surface finish. Slowing down will create fatter layers if you calibrate it for faster speeds. Yes, it can, but if you set up relative extrusion, it doesn't. Relative extrusion, as you slow down your print speed, it slows down the extrusion rate to match. On a 0.4mm nozzle, I have been able to print 0.8. 0.8 is really fine for it's not about it, but it's about your Z steppers, how much it'll step up. So 0.8 is probably, you're probably running 1.9 step motors, and it's pulling between the 2 points of the arc on the steps in the rotation, because basically a stepper motor has points around the circle. And each one of those is a step. It's 1.8 degrees out of 360 degrees. A 0.9 would have double that amount, because each one is 0.9 of a degree. So it'll have double the amount of points in steps in that 360 degrees. So the amount of Z height, the layers, will dictate how fine your motors can actually move. Yeah, you can run it says 0.1, you're probably a little bit under. My guess is at 0.1 you're probably really at a 0.9, not a 0.1 really. But yes, you can, because that's pulling between 2 points, because it's a 1.8. Most steppers are 1.8 degree steppers. Typical accuracy of my ABL is under 0.02, but that's different. A 0.9 stepper are about half the torque. Depending on what type of stepper you get, there are better ones out there, and some of them are geared and so on, so you actually get better torque on them. But there's not much torque in a 3D printer anyway. You're not using it for CNC. 3D printer, most of the time the parts float over and back, right, on wheels or whatever. On a CNC, you have torque because you're digging into material, so you need torque. That's why you go from NEMA 17s on most 3D printers to a NEMA 23. Because you need the torque on those stepper motors. I agree with what Chris said about the 0.8mm. Yeah, and I said it's not really 0.8. It's probably close to 0.9, because it would, because they are 1.8mm steppers, or 1.8 degree steppers, and at 1.8, the most you can do is really halfway in between that, and even then it's not perfectly half, and anything beyond that is guesswork. There's no guarantee you're going to be really running at 0.8 of a millimeter per layer. It's because it's pulling on the motor between 2 points. It's trying to balance it between them, and it might even a slight variation in voltages or amperages, and it's going to wobble a little between those, so you're never going to be guaranteed. Yes, the RSD comes with a 0.4. I believe it's got a 0.2. It's got and it's got 0.6 nozzles, I believe, as well. They come as part of the Kickstarter. Normally, if you buy an MSRP because the Kickstarter is over, you will not get that. You will get a 0.4, and you have to buy the additional nozzles. So 0.1 is a really fine layer anyway. So yeah, 0.1 would be ideal for most people. I run 16 microsteps on all axes. The driver on this, I think 256. I will see, or do we get other sizes? No, you get a 0.4, Renee, and you can buy other sizes, but you do get multiple sizes in it, as I said a moment ago. Yes, you are chasing microns, correct. I agree with you, Old Curmudgeon. It's microns, and it's, you know, you can get as fine as you want if you pay enough money to put the controllers in there that you want. You know, you must remember most of these are budget printers. If you want a really expensive printer that can do super fine detail, you're paying a couple of grand, right? These are homemade. These are for home. I don't think the difference between a 0.8 and a 0.1 or 0.11 of a millimeter in a layer is going to make that much of a difference between you and me. We don't care about such detail. In all fairness, that's minuscule for us. Hey, Daniel, you're back. The pitch of the lead screw is a fact. I agree as well as that. Yeah, Ethan's had to bring up a good point. It's not just about the rotation of the stepper motor, but the pitch of the lead screw as well on your Z-axis will also dictate that, which comes into the magic numbers. And actually, if you want to find, there is a good video about magic numbers on your Z steps, and your Z heights with what's his name, with Chuck Hallebuck at Filament Friday. He did a really good video in explaining about magic numbers for the enders, and you should watch it because they apply to almost all printers. So you should go check it out. Let's see. Yes, I agree, Chris. If you want super high detailed prints, resin is the way to go. If you barely want to see any layer lines, go with resin and 4K. But that is the way to go, without doubt. FDM is going to leave layers. There's no way out of it. So if you want to bypass layers, and even resin will leave layers, but they're finer detail. But you go 4K, go resin, and you wipe out most of that problem for you. Do I have any resin samples here? So with resin, you barely see. Like, this is not even 4K. This is a standard. I'll bring it over here. See the detail on that? You can barely see any layer lines on it, right? That's a resin print. So on FDM, you're always going to have layer lines. On a resin, we can get very close to almost eliminating them, and if you really zoom in. I want my Sauron to be the most insanely beautiful and biggest. Well, that's up to you. Let's see, Marcus. The magic numbers are a bit of a smoke and mirrors. You can't guarantee starting at the same microstep every print. Yeah, but you're close enough, and it helps with once you get the first layer done. It's after that is where they really kick in, because it's a known factor from that point upwards. For what you really need to print, you will need to print very fine height at a slow rate. Yeah, but if you wanted that fine, go resin. That's the answer. That's the easiest one. Yeah, Chet, Filament Friday. Chet actually lives about 45 minutes from me. He's 45 minutes west of me is where he lives. He's nearby. Chris, let's see. It will probably take weeks with all of the SCL files in full state. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean there. But yeah, if you want super fine detail, you have to go resin. But problem with resin is size is limited. You cannot print a 300 by 300 unless you buy a $10,000 or $12,000 resin printer, which are available for industrial use. I know a lot of companies out there make them, but that's where you have to go if you want to do resin. If you want to do very fine, large resin. Other than that, you're stuck with FDM. And now you can clean up an FDM print with resin. So you take a resin print and it's got layers on it. This is pretty good, but I'm going to hit something it's really rough. This is really rough, very, very, very rough. You can see it's all layer lines, it's all a mess, right? This print is way too fast. Now, if I wanted to smoothen that out, I can. I can sand off some of the heaviest of the rough parts, and I can actually paint on 405 nanometer UV resin, which is used for 3D printers, and I can let it cure. And then I can paint on another layer of it and let it cure. That will totally eliminate my layer lines. So you can use resin to fine tune and to finish off your FDM prints. Just remember, gloves, mask, goggles. Have to have them. Resin is nasty stuff. You do not want to get on your skin. You do not want to get that inhale any of the fuel. Inhale that very often. You don't. You need to protect yourself because resin has nasty side effects. But you can do it. So there's ways to use resin on FDM to get a final, a fantastic final product. The other thing is you can after the print is filled in layer lines with wet and smooth sanding. You can do sanding, and sanding can take a lot of work, and you can get there, or you can cheat. You do a rough sanding to clean it all up, and then apply resin. Because by doing a rough sanding, let's say 200 grit or 250 grit, you break the surface, you give it something to grip on, and when you paint the resin on, it can bond to it. You cure it, then you put on another layer, and you cure it, and you get a smooth print. So you can do that. Papado, how are you? Let's see. If you are painting, look for primer filler. Well, primer filler will help. Yeah, you can use primer filler. And basically what you're doing, you're filling in the grooves and you sand it off so you leave the grooves filled. Yeah, I've done primer filler. That works. But as I said, a quick and dirty way, it's a bit messy. And you do have some safety aspects. But you can paint something now with resin as long as you key it first, roughen it up a little bit with sandpaper. And resin will bond to FDM and you get a really nice finish. I've seen some people actually with large vats of resin, and they get an FDM print and they dip it and they take it out and they let it drip dry and hang it up, and then when it's finished dripping, then they move it out to be cured. That's excessive, but you can go that route. It's like using a filler primer, but you don't have to do all the sanding because it does it for you. It levels itself. I think ABL might mess with magic numbers. I don't think it does. I don't think it affects the magic numbers, because all you are is the magic numbers is the amount of steps. It might for the first few layers on ABL, because ABL, what it does is it moves the printed up, the Z up and down to counteract the flatness of the lack of flatness on your print surface. But you normally have a setting in there that when you're doing ABL, you smoothen out by 4 or 5 layers. So the first layer it'll move a lot. The second layer it'll move a little bit less, but it'll actually adjust and try and get it closer to being level. And over 5 or 6 layers, it actually gets it really smooth. You do that in your ABL settings in your firmware. And once you have that set, and you get to a certain point, after a certain point you're actually going flat. Then magic numbers kick in a big way, because there's no adjusting anymore. Let's see. Also, talk to Jerry, 3D printing and painting. He does lots of painting on prints. Yes, he does. But if you ask Jerry, he does more printing than painting, because he has lots of models he's never finished. But no, Jerry's a great resource because he has done a lot of printing. I don't do a lot of painting myself, but Jerry does, and he does a lot of figurine printing and so on. So yes, Jerry's a good guy to check out. 3D printing and painting, his channel, and his Facebook group. So go check it out. Actually, he's getting ready to do a giveaway. I don't know if Jerry's out there, but he's getting ready to do a giveaway that if he reaches. He's just over 2,000 subscribers right now, 2,100 or something. He's going to do a big giveaway at 2,500 subscribers. So spread the word and get people onto Jerry's stream, because he's planning to do a giveaway once he reaches 2,500 subscribers. Let's see. Papano, doing great, thanks, hope all is the same. Good for you. I'm really, Renee says, I'm really appreciating all the tips you give. I'm not going to play with the resin ever. No, I don't say don't play with resin. Resin is nice. You can do